The emperor initially loathed the empress. She wasn't the woman he loved. Over time, however, his feelings began to shift. He found himself growing fond of her, even doting on her. He would even sacrifice his own life to protect her. His love for her burned fiercely when he decided to make her his empress. His ministers vehemently opposed him. Not only that, but his decision was met with ominous signs, an earthquake and a solar eclipse. Thus, he was forced to marry an empress he did not love. The wedding ceremony was extravagant, but the woman crowned empress felt no joy. Her mood mirrored the emperor's own. Her name was Yi Linglang. Today, she had to compose herself and assume the role of empress. Her grandfather knew her heart wasn't in it, but for the sake of their family, he came to offer her some advice before the ceremony. Above all, she must never become a deposed empress. She was Yi Linglang, after all. Today, she would marry into the imperial family. For the benefit of her clan, despite her reluctance, she had to accept her fate. She would marry an emperor with a harem of 7 concubines, the very type of philanderer she despised. When the emperor arrived, she obediently knelt. He spoke to her with disdain. "Drink this cup of wine, and then we shall proceed." Linglang inwardly cursed him. This man was a shameless lecher, eager to claim her. She reminded herself to be patient. But as he reached to undress her, schnipped. She kicked him off the bed. This audacious empress, on her wedding night, had kicked the emperor onto the floor. He, who had been treated with reverence his entire life, had never been struck before. She was the only one who dared to do such a thing. The emperor stared up at her, dumbfounded. He pointed at her, his face contorted in anger. "You impudent wretch," he roared. Linglang immediately knelt again, feigning contrition. The emperor was furious, but he couldn't punish her. What sort of punishment would be fitting? Kicking the emperor off the bed on the wedding night. How am I supposed to show my face now? Just then, a voice called from outside. A eunuch entered and announced that Consort Li had fallen and was seriously injured. The emperor turned and hurried towards Luohua Palace. Linglang stifled a yawn, relieved at the interruption. She stretched languidly. The emperor, seeing her indifference, barely contained his rage. The next morning, Linglang sipped tea and chatted with her maids. One maid complained about Consort Li, who, emboldened by the emperor's favor, dared to provoke the empress on her wedding night. Linglang remained unfazed, calmly sipping her tea. She sighed dramatically. "The emperor sells his body for the good of the nation. I am truly impressed." The maid quickly cautioned her. "Your Majesty, be careful. There are ears everywhere. What if the emperor hears you?" Linglang waved her hand dismissively. "Well, I was already disrespectful last night." According to the schedule, this morning was the formal presentation of the concubines. According to the palace maid's reports, Linglang learned of the prominent concubines within the palace, such as the 2 second-rank concubines, Virtuous Consort, the daughter of the Minister of Revenue, known for her gentle and virtuous nature, and Elegant Consort, known for her fiery and decisive personality. Consort Li, on the other hand, was known for her coquettish and unrestrained demeanor. All the concubines came to pay their respects to the empress. Only Consort Li arrived late. She brazenly excused herself, claiming ill health as the reason for her tardiness. She feigned having forgotten to pay her respects in her supposed weakened state, asking for the empress's forgiveness. Following this, the other concubines began to subtly provoke Consort Li. "Why didn't you summon the imperial physician after your fall? Why did you bother the emperor instead?" Elegant Consort needled, launching into a litany of criticisms. Linglang, though inwardly disdainful, patiently listened to the concubine's petty squabbles. She complimented Elegant Consort, remarking, "You certainly have sharp tongue." Not to be outdone, Consort Li continued to subtly challenge the empress. Finally, Linglang understood. This woman was openly defying her. Consort Li, however, hadn't anticipated that the empress wouldn't be so easily intimidated. Since Consort Li so diligently served the empress naturally had to reward her generously. The emperor favored her more than the empress, after all. But the moment the red cloth was pulled back, her face froze. Revealed was a hideous green jade toad. The other concubines exchanged hushed whispers as Linglang's lips curled into a slight smile. "Do you understand the meaning of this gift?" the empress asked. "Consort Li, there's no need to be so polite. Please accept it. This reward was prepared especially for you. Please accept it." Word of this incident reached the emperor, causing him to spray tea across the room. She actually said that. This servant would never dare misspeak, Your Majesty. The emperor was furious. She dared to say, I sell my body for the good of the nation, and reward consort Li with a jade toad. He slammed his teacup down, gnashing his teeth, wishing he could give her a good beating. This woman is courting death. Just as the emperor's rage reached its peak, consort Li arrived with a bowl of soup to help him cool down. She didn't forget to mention her efforts. This ginseng soup was personally simmered by this concubine for 8 hours, Your Majesty. Her charm offensive seemed to work, as the emperor took her hand and offered a word of praise. Consort Li pressed her advantage, hoping to gain further favor. But her actions only served to remind the emperor of the empress's sarcastic remark about him, selling his body for the nation. He immediately pushed Consort Li away, forbidding her from entering the imperial study ever again. His anger surged anew. He rushed towards the empress's palace, intent on confronting Ling Lang and unleashing his fury. Meanwhile, Ling Lang, as if sensing impending doom, was painting and sneezing repeatedly. She was startled to see the emperor arrive at her palace at that very moment. She feigned innocence, as if nothing had happened. The emperor glanced around, his eyes falling upon the paintings on the table. His expression hardened. Where did these paintings come from? He demanded. Ling Lang replied casually, I found them. The emperor's interrogation, a series of pointed questions, left Ling Lang speechless. He spoke as if he wanted her family to bear the brunt of her supposed transgressions. Why does he enjoy baiting me like this? She thought, irritated. The emperor then decreed that the Ministry of Works be placed under strict surveillance and severely reprimanded. Ling Lang immediately knelt, pleading for leniency. Your Majesty, she implored, this matter has nothing to do with the Ministry of Works. My brother and I have no involvement in this, she insisted. The emperor pressed further. Where did these drawings come from? Did you draw this? He asked, his gaze sharp. Ling Lang quickly admitted ownership. Yes, Your Majesty, it is my work. The emperor scrutinized her, then the drawing. Upon closer inspection, he conceded it does appear to be the work of an amateur. He continued his interrogation. So, where did you copy it from? Ling Lang, not daring to provoke him further, quickly fabricated story. I happened upon it amongst my brother's belongings, Your Majesty. I then surreptitiously returned it. Ever the shrewd woman, Ling Lang subtly shifted the conversation. She brought up Yi Ling's, her brother's, impressive reputation as commander of the Imperial Guard, highlighting his masterful horsemanship and swordsmanship. She used his accomplishments as a smokescreen, hoping to divert attention from the potentially incriminating drawings. She casually mentioned that her two brothers were both officials in the Ministry of Works, further intertwining their reputations. Ling Lang remained kneeling, affecting a pitiful demeanor. The emperor, observing this display, found it difficult to maintain his stern facade. He picked up the drawing again, examining it more closely. Your design is flawed, he declared. Ling Lang, seizing the opportunity, immediately rose and rushed to his side, clinging to his arm. The emperor's face flushed. I have a much more accurate sketch, he mumbled, flustered by her sudden proximity. Ling Lang's eyes widened, sparkling with anticipation. She looked at him expectantly, waiting for him to share his superior design. To her utter dismay, he refused. She gritted her teeth, barely suppressing her frustration. The emperor, feeling a sense of triumph after successfully teasing the empress, left the palace feeling invigorated. Even the surrounding eunuchs couldn't fathom his good mood. Since their marriage, the emperor had harbored a dislike for Ling Lang. Today, however, having managed to get the better of her, he felt unusually cheerful. The eunuchs, as always, remained baffled by their emperor's capricious nature. He had visited the empress's Kuan-Ning palace, but hadn't stayed. Instead, he returned to his own chambers and flipped the tablet of Virtuous Consort. The reason for this was simple. Virtuous Consort was his first love. She was meant to be his empress, but her appointment had been vehemently opposed by Yi Ling Lang's grandfather. Two powerful factions dominated the court, the Yi faction and the Fong faction. They were locked in a constant power struggle. The elders of the Yi faction had put forward their granddaughter, Yi Ling Lang, as the future empress. They had then fabricated a series of auspicious omens and favorable circumstances to thwart the emperor's intended marriage to Fong Luiwei, Virtuous Consort's true name. So, my choice of wife can bring about natural disasters, can it? The emperor had raged. At that very moment, the palace shook. A eunuch rushed in, reporting an earthquake. The ministers in the main hall saw this as a divine sign, further solidifying their opposition to Feng Luiyue becoming empress. The emperor, furious, covered his ears, ignoring their pleas. Despite their fervent attempts to dissuade him, he remained resolute. My decision is final, he declared. There's nothing more to discuss. Just then, another eunuch burst in. Your Majesty, he stammered, there's a solar eclipse. The emperor was left speechless. A solar eclipse was traditionally seen as a terrible omen. With no other recourse, he was forced to concede and allow Yiling Lang to become empress. Feng Luiyue, virtuous consort, was given only the title of consort. She could only blame her ill fortune for missing the opportunity to become empress. The emperor's dislike for Ling Lang's grandfather had extended to her as well. Fortunately for Ling Lang, she felt no affection for the emperor either. Maintaining her position as empress was all that mattered. Ironically, the Empress Dowager also disliked Ling Lang. On the contrary, the Empress Dowager held virtuous consort in high regard. Virtuous consort, already favored by the emperor, now had the Empress Dowager's support. Though she had only recently entered the palace, she posed a significant threat to Ling Lang. The palace maids worried that their empress would be overshadowed. Ling Lang waved them off dismissively, then sighed. The maids continued to chatter nervously. Exasperated, Ling Lang finally spoke. Tomorrow is the Mid-Autumn Festival. I want to eat mooncakes with almond filling. The next day, she presented the emperor with a mooncake she had made herself. The emperor, assuming she was trying to appease him, took a bite with a pleased expression. His face quickly contorted in disgust. He let out a groan of displeasure. Whatever recipe Ling Lang had used, it had disastrous consequences. Throughout the Mid-Autumn Festival banquet, the emperor clutched his stomach in discomfort. He struggled to maintain his composure, the pain intensifying with every passing moment. He glared at Ling Lang throughout the festivities. The other concubines, witnessing this, assumed he was deeply enamored with her. The rumors of his dislike seemed to be false. Virtuous consort, meanwhile, felt disheartened. Her father had instructed her to find a way to have Ling Lang deposed, no matter the cost. How could it be so easy? Ling Lang presented a facade of honesty and integrity, but her cunning was unpredictable. Virtuous consort sighed. It had been days since the emperor had summoned her. Her personal maid draped a robe over her shoulders. Are you homesick, my lady? She asked softly. Don't speak of such things in the palace, Virtuous consort replied. This is my home now. At that moment, the emperor arrived in the garden and embraced her. They exchanged sweet nothings. Just as they were about to share a passionate kiss, they were interrupted. A messenger's urgent announcement shattered the intimate moment. Trouble at Luohua Palace, he cried. Inside the palace, Consort Li sat weeping on the floor. She had narrowly avoided eating a poisoned mooncake. Ling Lang was there, comforting the distraught Consort Li. She offered her 12 jade toads from the palace treasury, hoping to soothe her. The emperor, however, stormed in and immediately berated Ling Lang. Do you know your crime? He roared, condemning her before any investigation had taken place. Ling Lang hastily knelt, asking what had happened. The emperor glared at her. Consort Li received a poisoned mooncake on the night of the Mid-Autumn Festival, he thundered. If she hadn't tested it on her cat first, she would be dead. He placed the blame squarely on Ling Lang. Before she could defend herself, he demanded she solve the case within 3 days. Otherwise, she would be charged with 2 counts of offending the emperor. Ling Lang didn't dare refuse the emperor's unreasonable demand. 2 days had passed, and the deadline was fast approaching. She stared intently at the mooncake, poisoned, and offering no clues. She broke the cake open, revealing a shrimp filling. Every year, the imperial kitchen prepared special mooncakes just for her. The poison was clearly meant for Consort Li. After an examination by the imperial physician, it was discovered that fragrant Phi-2 flour had been added to the mooncake. The flour itself was harmless, but when consumed with shrimp, it created a potent toxin. Ling Lang interrogated everyone in the imperial kitchen and searched every corner of the pantry, but she found nothing. Exhausted and frustrated, only one possibility remained. Someone had smuggled the fragrant Phi-2 flour into the palace. The difficulty was that Consort Li had made many enemies within the palace walls. Anyone could have poisoned her. After all, a small dose wouldn't be fatal. Ling Lang gritted her teeth in anger. Who would dare play such a game with me? Just then, a palace maid rushed in. Your Majesty, she announced breathlessly, a eunuch has committed suicide. Fragrant Phi 2 flower was found on his person. Ling Lang hurried to the scene. The eunuch lay dead on the floor. Another eunuch, kneeling beside him, reported, Your Majesty, Ding Doxiang and I shared a room. I returned to retrieve something I had forgotten and found him hanging. Ling Lang lifted the cloth covering the body. A palace maid handed her the fragrant Phi 2 flower. Ling Lang examined the flower, a suspicion forming in her mind. Bao Sufeng, she commanded, bring all the eunuchs to the main hall for questioning, except those attending the emperor. Gather all related evidence. Then she abruptly left. The emperor had just finished reviewing memorials and was stretching when, before the young eunuch could announce her arrival, Ling Lang stormed in, fury radiating from her. Without hesitation, she slapped the young eunuch, who had been about to announce something to the emperor, rendering him unconscious. She then turned her attention to Wang Xiaohu, shaking him awake. He scrambled to his knees, drenched in a cold sweat. The emperor, hidden behind a screen, watched the scene unfold. Ling Lang began her interrogation. Wang Xiaohu, she demanded, tell me about Ding Doxiang. He quickly confessed everything. As Wang Xiaohu tried to defend himself, Ling Lang pointed at him, her voice ringing with conviction. This was clearly orchestrated by you and the eunuch who shared your room. She continued, laying bare his scheme. Your master in the imperial kitchen is in charge of pastries. You made the crystal shrimp mooncakes, but you weren't assigned to make crystal shrimp mooncakes. That's why I overlooked you in my search, giving you the opportunity to run to the emperor with your false accusations. You came to the Hall of Mental Cultivation today to claim I was bullying you, so you added the fragrant Phi 2 flower to the filling. Despite his continued pleas of innocence, Ling Lang had forced a confession. So tell me, Ling Lang pressed, her voice sharp, you're just a servant in the imperial kitchen. What business did you have reporting directly to the emperor? She slammed her hand on the table. You and Ding Doxiang concocted this scheme together. You snuck into the imperial kitchen and added the fragrant Phi 2 flower to the filling. Ding Doxiang promised to take the secret to his grave, afraid of implicating others. This has nothing to do with me. You came here to report to the emperor, casting suspicion on the empress. His Majesty would surely have come to Kuan-Ning Palace to investigate. And then, conveniently, you would have stumbled upon Ding Doxiang's suicide, complete with incriminating evidence. I could have jumped into the Yellow River and still not washed away the suspicion. If this plot had succeeded, you would have eliminated Consort Li and framed me, potentially stripping me of my title. 2 birds with 1 stone. A clever plan indeed. Wang Xiaohu had no choice but to confess, though he refused to reveal who was behind the scheme. As if anticipating this, Ling Lang approached him. Whatever elegant consort promised you, she said, her voice low and steady, I can offer the same. Anything she can do, I can do better. Wang Xiaohu, now sobbing, begged Ling Lang to save his family. Elegant consort had threatened his parents, forcing his hand. Elegant consort is trying to scare you, Ling Lang reassured him. Her father isn't a fool. If your family is innocent, he wouldn't dare harm them just to appease his daughter's ambitions. Hearing this, Wang Xiaohu kowtowed repeatedly. He looked up, a question in his eyes. How did your Majesty know it was elegant consort? Ling Lang smirked. I tricked you, she admitted, but I was right, wasn't I? Everyone was stunned by her shrewdness. The Empress had solved the case. She stretched, a sigh of relief escaping her lips. Sipping her tea, Ling Lang chatted with Wang Xiaohu, asking him to tell her amusing folk tales. She listened intently, a small smile playing on her lips. Wang Xiaohu's voice grew somber. But your Majesty, he said, I'm a dead man. Ling Lang, seeing his fear, promised to plead with the emperor for his life. She seemed to have forgotten something. Oh well, she thought, dismissing it. She had forgotten the emperor, who stood fuming behind the screen, his anger simmering. That woman has no respect for me, he thought. Emerging from behind the screen, he glared at Ling Lang. If I hadn't shown myself, you two would have chatted until nightfall. Ling Lang quickly apologized. The emperor launched into a tirade, his voice rising with each accusation. Unable to bear it, Ling Lang covered her ears. Calming down, the emperor asked why she had suspected elegant consort. When a dog bites, Ling Lang explained, it doesn't bark. She reasoned that someone seeking to harm both her and consort Li would need to be cunning and opportunistic. Noble consort Zhang is allied with consort Li. Consort Hui wouldn't dare act so openly. If consort Li wanted to harm someone, it would be virtuous consort, not me. That leaves only elegant consort. The emperor then asked, why not virtuous consort? His Majesty is very good to virtuous consort, Ling Lang replied smoothly. How could I dare suspect her? The emperor nodded, a flicker of satisfaction in his eyes, pleased that she seemed to understand her place and his affections. After some further discussion, Ling Lang declared herself not just intelligent, but very intelligent. The emperor, taking a sip of tea, sputtered, amused by her boldness. News then arrived that Consort Hui had been demoted 8 ranks and banished to the Cold Palace. This news reached the Empress Dowager. The Empress Dowager, upon hearing this, immediately dispatched a eunuch with a message. His Majesty, the Aijia summons you. Bring Consort Hui to the Palace of Eternal Spring. The Palace of Eternal Spring belonged to virtuous consort. It seemed the palace intrigue was just getting started. Lost in thought, the emperor made his way to Kuan-Ning Palace. Uncharacteristically, he didn't send word ahead, leaving Ling Lang unaware of his arrival. Entering the palace, he found Ling Lang playing Go alone. He joined her, settling down for a game. Ling Lang assumed the emperor wasn't skilled at Go. To her surprise, she lost every game. Unconsciously, the emperor found himself captivated by Ling Lang. A strange feeling stirred within him as he watched her. The next day was the emperor's birthday. Ling Lang had prepared a gift and called for it to be brought forth. Even though you didn't give me the complete blueprints, she announced proudly, I still managed to make it. The emperor held the gift, a crudely fashioned handgun, his expression a mixture of bewilderment and disappointment. The emperor asked Ling Lang which woman in the harem she disliked the most. Consort Zhang, she replied without hesitation. She's too glib, too quick-witted. I can't outsmart her. No sooner had Ling Lang declared her dislike for Consort Zhang than the emperor ordered Consort Zhang's nameplate to be flipped that very night, signifying his intention to spend the night with her. Ling Lang glared, her eyes filled with annoyance and resentment. The emperor's birthday arrived. The concubines and the emperor gathered for a lavish celebration. The concubines showered him with praise, remarking that even the heavens had blessed his birthday with fine weather and blooming flowers. Pleased, the emperor proposed a poetry contest, using the chrysanthemum as the theme. Ling Lang racked her brain, struggling to compose a poem. She glanced at the emperor, silently cursing his difficult nature. He knows I despise Consort Zhang, yet he chose her last night. He's deliberately provoking me. She fumed inwardly. Finally, Ling Lang finished her poem, just after noble consort Wang had completed hers. The emperor praised noble consort Wang's poem. Then, he turned to Ling Lang and read hers. His hand trembled slightly as he finished. He couldn't bring himself to praise it. It sounded like something a 7-year-old would write. Ignoring the stifled laughter of the other concubines, Ling Lang calmly defended herself. Since ancient times, she declared, long-winded writing has been considered decadent. Clearly, excessive writing doesn't necessarily equate to talent, she concluded. Seeing the two bickering again, Consort Li seized the opportunity to suggest a musical performance in honor of the emperor's birthday. The emperor readily agreed. Although Consort Li wasn't known for her intelligence, she was a masterful people player. Whenever she played, the emperor seemed to have eyes for no one else. Another concubine then suggested singing to add to the festivities. Ling Lang spoke up. Music and singing are wonderful, she said, but wouldn't some dancing make it even better? Before virtuous consort, who had just risen to her feet, could respond, Ling Lang clapped her hands, summoning a dancer. A few days prior, she had discovered a dancer of exceptional beauty. The emperor froze, his gaze fixed on the dancer. Her costume, or lack thereof, was scandalous, barely concealing her form. Noble Consort Li, the emperor said, his voice tight with displeasure. We shall adjourn here. Ling Lang stared, bewildered by his abrupt dismissal. What had just happened? Noble Consort Li, clutching her pipa, ground her teeth. She loathed Ling Lang. Why did the Empress always steal the spotlight? After the birthday banquet, the resentment towards Ling Lang intensified. A plot was brewing, its tendrils silently reaching towards the Empress. The following day, Ling Lang ordered her court ladies to distribute rewards to the other concubines. One of her ladies, delivering a gift to noble consort Li, forgot to kneel in deference. Noble consort Li seized the opportunity to find fault. A servant of Kuan Ning Palace, and you don't even know the proper etiquette. She sneered. The court lady hastily knelt and apologized. But noble consort Li, still fuming from the previous night's humiliation, wasn't satisfied with a simple apology. Ling Lang had stolen the emperor's attention, and now her servant dared to offer excuses for her impudence. Noble consort Li, determined to teach the servants of Kuan Ning Palace a lesson, ordered her own maid to strike Ling Lang's. Seeing her servant bruised and swollen, Ling Lang's eyes hardened with sorrow and then with fury. She knew exactly who was responsible. Clenching her fists, Ling Lang's voice was low and dangerous. Striking my servant is the same as striking me. Those who bully the people of Kuan Ning Palace will not go unpunished. The injured maid hastily knelt. Your Majesty, 1,000 apologies, she stammered. It is this servant's fault. So many see you as a thorn in the emperor's side. I should have protected you better. Ling Lang waved her hand dismissively. She didn't want to waste time on noble consort Li. Noble consort Li is a useful pawn, she mused. A distraction for virtuous consort, who is the real threat. Just then, a eunuch arrived with an urgent summons. His Majesty requests the Empress's immediate presence at Bishin Pavilion. A body floating in the pavilion's pond. Ling Langzite. She'd barely had a moment's peace. Another dead court lady, and to make matters worse, Consort Wang was clinging to the emperor, trembling with fear. Ling Lang felt a surge of anger. She was being made a spectacle of right in front of the emperor and the terrified Consort Wang. The emperor, predictably, ordered her to restore order to the harem, to bring peace back to the 6 palaces. Ling Lang drained her Kopf, her Frustration simmling. The emperor was using her. He was clearly looking for an excuse. If she didn't act, she'd be accused of negligence. But if she investigated too thoroughly, she'd make enemies. So many enemies. This empress position was nothing but a gilded cage. The emperor didn't love her, and the empress dowager despised her. This place is a viper's nest, she muttered under her breath. Her maid, alarmed, urged her to be silent. Your Majesty, you are the mistress of the 6 palaces. All eyes are upon you. Even someone as unremarkable as noble consort Li must have some hidden strength to have climbed so high. The higher your position, the greater the danger. The imperial palace is not like the Yi estate, her maid continued. No one here will protect you. Your entire clan relies on you, but you can't even protect yourself. The emperor is a young tiger, growing stronger every day. But your grandfather is an aging lion. He made a mistake sending me here, Ling Lang whispered, a chilling premonition settling over her. Just then, a eunuch approached the emperor, whispering news from another part of the palace. Empress, the emperor inquired, his voice sharp. Which of your court ladies was struck by noble consort Li's servant? And what is her name? He was certain Ling Lang wouldn't let this go easily. She was far too cunning. With the court lady's death still casting a pall over the palace, whispers and rumors ran rampant. The palace maids gossiped amongst themselves, claiming the dead court lady had visited the empress in a dream, revealing the identity of her killer. Word spread like wildfire through Kuan Ning Palace that the murderer had offended the flower god. The empress wouldn't even need to investigate. The flower god would exact her own revenge. Ling Lang, reclining on her chaise lounge, a faint smile playing on her lips, heard the rumors. The maid struck yesterday, she asked, feigning innocence. Her name was Chun Tao, wasn't it? Chun Tao. How very floral. She let out a small, almost imperceptible sigh. The emperor has placed this burden upon me. Very well, then. Let the 6 palaces tremble. She summoned all the eunuchs and palace maids, calling out their names one by one. Each person called stepped forward, trembling. Based on their supposed transgressions, Ling Lang meted out punishments. 20 strokes, 40 strokes, 60 strokes. Chun Tao, of course, received the harshest sentence. Her own maids, aghast at the severity of the punishment, exchanged worried glances. Ling Lang, however, remained impassive, calmly cracking melon seeds. "Patience," she murmured. "The show is just beginning." As Chun Tao stood, drenched in sweat, bracing herself for the beating, a voice rang out. "Stop! All of you stop!" Noble Consort Li, her face contorted with rage, stormed into the courtyard. "What crime has Chun Tao committed to deserve such a harsh punishment?" she demanded. Ling Lang pointed a finger at the trembling maid. "A multitude of sins," she declared coldly. Chun Tao, powerless to refute the empress, could only hang her head. Noble Consort Li, grinding her teeth, pointed at Ling Lang. "You're slandering her." Ling Lang seized the opportunity. Her eyes narrowed. "Noble consort," she said, her voice dripping with ice. "How dare you speak to me in such a tone?" She gestured to her own maid. "Silence her." The maid, hesitant to lay a hand on a noble consort, faltered. Without a moment's hesitation, Ling Lang slapped Noble Consort Li across the face. Noble Consort Li clutched her cheek, her eyes blazing. "How dare you strike me?" she hissed. The words had barely left her lips when another resounding slap echoed through the courtyard. "Very well," Noble Consort Li seethed, pointing a shaking finger at the empress. "Just you wait until the emperor returns. He will hear of this." Ling Lang merely smirked, as if to say, "The emperor won't do a thing." Ling Lang's maids exchanged triumphant clenches. Noble Consort Li hadn't anticipated this. When she complained to the emperor, he, in turn, learned of her defiance towards the empress. He had no desire to see her. While the empress's actions were not entirely appropriate, Noble Consort Li had publicly argued with her, spoken with disrespect, and, fueled by the emperor's favor, acted with arrogance and insubordination. Instead of comfort, Noble Consort Li received a 2-month confinement, ordered to reflect on her behavior. Contrary to expectations, Ling Lang was not pleased by Noble Consort Li's confinement. "I already punished her," she thought, irritated. "Why must the emperor punish her again?" Inwardly, she panicked. If Noble Consort Li fell out of favor, who would help her deal with virtuous consort? The emperor, a subtle smile playing on his lips, seemed to have read her mind. Gesturing towards the items on the table, he asked, "Where did these supplies come from?" "A foreign merchant brought them," Ling Lang replied, fiddling with a spyglass. "So many fascinating toys. I wanted to offer them to your majesty, but the Ministry of Rights confiscated them." The emperor raised an eyebrow. "Surely, Empress, you didn't summon me here just for these trinkets." Ling Lang, a mischievous glint in her eye, shook her head. "I heard your majesty is going on a hunting expedition. I've long admired your horsemanship and archery skills, and I would be honored to witness them firsthand." The emperor knew a request was coming. He decided to make things interesting. "I'll pose a question, Empress. Answer correctly, and you may join the hunt. The spring plowing is complete," he began, "and the court wishes to summon farmers to manage the Yellow River. The Ministry of Works has been tasked with constructing dams and repairing existing ones. This is a massive undertaking. Who, in your opinion, is capable of overseeing such a project?" Ling Lang felt beads of sweat forming on her brow. She couldn't just offer a random name, especially since 2 of her relatives were in the Ministry of Works. "Curse this Chi Wuji," she thought, silently cursing the emperor. Hoping to change the subject, she said, "Your Majesty has a keen eye for talent. I'm sure you'll find the perfect person." Subtly requesting a different question, she was met with another challenge. "This project requires substantial funding. How can we achieve this without burdening the people?" Ling Lang, thinking quickly, presented several ideas. The emperor, impressed by her insights, couldn't help but praise her intelligence. He then escorted her to the Empress Dowager. The Empress Dowager, however, showered Consort Hui with praise in front of both the emperor and Ling Lang. Under the Empress Dowager's watchful eye, Ling Lang waited patiently. Finally, the emperor granted her permission to join the hunt. Not only Ling Lang, but Consort Hui was also invited. At the hunting grounds, the emperor and Consort Hui rode side by side, engaged in lively conversation. "Your fragrance is particularly delightful today, my dear consort," the emperor remarked. Consort Hui, flattered, replied, "Your Majesty has a discerning nose." She began to describe the flower she wore in her hair. Before she could finish, a bee, attracted by the blossom, buzzed aggressively towards her. Suddenly, the bee dropped to the ground, lifeless. The emperor, observing closely, recognized the handiwork of a dart fired from Ling Lang's hand. Ling Lang, looking regal atop her horse, simply said, "No need for thanks." However, the emperor noticed something amiss. "Why are you carrying poison darts, Empress?" he questioned. Ling Lang's heart skipped a beat. Poison darts were classified as concealed weapons, restricted to the Imperial Guard. Possession by anyone else within the palace was considered treasonous. The emperor demanded she relinquish the darts. Frustrated and embarrassed, Ling Lang galloped off into the forest. Lost and alone, she lamented the lack of game. She hadn't even had a chance to hunt anything. Suddenly, her horse reared, sensing danger. A tiger lurked nearby, its eyes fixed on the empress. Thinking fast, Ling Lang wrapped her reins around a tree branch, swung herself down, and landed safely. A low growl rumbled through the air. The tiger, now fully visible, stalked towards her, preparing to pounce. "Stay calm," she told herself. "It's sizing me up. Don't make any sudden movements." Carefully, she reached for an arrow. Taking a gamble, she fired. The tiger, with surprising agility, dodged the arrow and lunged. Despite the shock, Ling Lang maintained her composure. She drew a hidden pistol and aimed. But the tiger's weight was overwhelming, pinning her to the ground, rendering her helpless. At that moment, Ling Lang remembered the poison darts she'd tucked into her sleeve. She frantically searched, intending to use them against the tiger, but they were gone. Then she remembered the emperor had forced her to discard them. The tiger lunged. Ling Lang squeezed her eyes shut, terrified, certain this was the end. Suddenly, an arrow pierced the tiger's skull, killing it instantly. It was the emperor. He had left Consort Hui behind and ridden after Ling Lang. He had arrived just in time. "What were you thinking?" The emperor roared, his voice laced with anger, running off into the deep forest alone. "If I hadn't arrived, you would have been tiger food." Tears welled in Ling Lang's eyes. "My leg, I think it's broken," she whispered. The emperor's anger instantly dissolved into concern. He rushed to her side, gently examining her leg and bandaging the injury. "Don't move," he scolded, his voice gruff despite his evident worry. Without another word, he scooped her into his arms. "Don't move," he repeated, looking down at her. "Do you want to keep your leg or not?" Ling Lang looked up at him, surprised by his unexpected tenderness. The emperor gazed at her with a softness she rarely saw. "Your hands are so cool," she murmured. Held securely in his embrace, a wave of relief washed over her. She felt safe, a sensation she hadn't realized she'd been craving. She drifted off to sleep in his arms. A gentle smile played on the emperor's lips as she rested her head against his chest. He had only bagged one tiger that day. Gossip rippled through the hunting party. Everyone assumed the emperor would gift the tiger pelt to Consort Hui. He was, after all, on his way to her quarters. He entered Consort Hui's chambers and glanced at her vanity table. He picked up her hairpin, a pang of guilt twisting in his gut. If I hadn't made her discard the darts, he thought, she wouldn't have been in danger. He decided to give the tiger pelt to Ling Lang instead. "Are you really giving it to me?" she asked, surprised. "Sit down. Be careful of your leg," he fussed. "You need to rest," he muttered, his concern overriding his usual imperial composure. The Empress Dowager decreed that since Ling Lang was injured, she needn't perform her daily greetings. "It's just a small injury, Your Majesty," Ling Lang replied with a smile. "I can still manage my duties." The Empress Dowager, however, used Ling Lang's injury as an excuse to transfer the management of the harem to Consort Hui. "Rest well, Empress," she said. Ling Lang turned to the Emperor, a wry smile on her face. "What are Your Majesty's thoughts on this?" The Emperor closed his eyes, his voice cold. "Since you're injured, Empress, you should focus on recovering." Ling Lang chuckled softly. "Both Your Majesty and the Empress Dowager wish for me to rest. But the affairs of the 6 palaces are complex. How can Consort Hui manage alone?" She then proposed that Consort Zhang assist Consort Hui in managing the harem during her convalescence. Her 2 handmaidens exchanged worried glances. Ling Lang sighed. "The Empress Dowager and Consort Hui are working together against me. As long as I remain Empress, they will continue to target me. Noble Consort Li is still confined. If she ever regains favor, I'll be her first target." Ling Lang stretched languidly. "The Empress Dowager has taken over the harem. Now that I'm relieved of those duties, I can occupy myself with other things." At that moment, a foreign merchant arrived, bearing curious and exotic gifts for the Empress. Elsewhere, a eunuch reported to the Emperor about the frequent visits of this merchant. "The Empress is injured and shouldn't be receiving visitors. This French merchant has been coming and going quite freely." The Emperor mused. "Perhaps it will lift her spirits while she recovers. I won't interfere." Ling Lang, meanwhile, was delightedly exploring the merchant's latest offering, a telescope. Looking through the telescope, she saw her mother, grandmother, and sister-in-law. A few days later, they visited her in the palace, much to her joy. During their visit, Ling Lang's mother shared a piece of news. The Empress Dowager's niece, Lady Su, has had her engagement broken off by the Crown Prince. The Empress Dowager intends to make her a consort for the Emperor. Ling Lang was disheartened by this news. Why do all these women want to enter the palace? Surely that wretched Jiwu Jiao isn't planning on taking another consort. The next day, Ling Lang decided to test the Emperor's feelings on the matter. Teasingly, she said, "Your Majesty, I hear your younger sister has had her engagement broken off. How unfortunate." The Emperor responded calmly, "Lady Su is 2 months older than you." Ling Lang felt a blush creep up her neck. "My mother tells me she's intelligent, beautiful, and well-educated. She would make a suitable consort for you. I thought I should seek your opinion on the matter." The Emperor simply told Ling Lang to offer her own suggestion. "She played with me when we were children. She was bright and charming. I would enjoy having her in the palace more often." Ling Lang understood his meaning and decided against making Lady Su a consort. The Emperor smiled, pleased that Ling Lang seemed to understand his feelings. He had been preoccupied with preventing her from bringing in new consorts. He hadn't expected that, while recuperating, she would relinquish control of the harem. The Emperor was taken aback when he learned that Lady Su had already entered the palace. "Why wasn't I informed?" he asked, bewildered. Consort Hui replied respectfully, "It was a decision made between myself and the Empress Dowager." That evening, in Ling Lang's chambers, the Emperor reclined on a chaise lounge, humming a melancholic tune. He felt as though his own machinations had backfired. Ling Lang watched him, silently fuming. "I thought I'd handled everything perfectly. Why isn't he happy? He's truly impossible to please." The Emperor approached her from behind. "Studying bird-hunting techniques, are we?" he asked. Ling Lang blushed, flustered. "Are you particularly free these days, Your Majesty? You seem to dine at Kuan-Ning Palace every day." The Emperor continued to tease her. "I hear you're rewarding consorts with green corners when they attend to me. What exactly does that signify?" Ling Lang stared at him, trying to formulate a response that wouldn't be considered treasonous. Green toads symbolize many children. I can't let him know I'm comparing his sons and grandsons to toads. I can't say it represents wealth either. What need do the Emperor's women have for wealth? After a moment's thought, she declared, "They're all toads. You are the swan. How can a toad hope to consume a swan?" Hearing this, the Emperor asked, "So, are you a toad as well?" Ling Lang calmly replied, "I am the Empress, a fitting match for you. Naturally, I am also a swan." The Emperor then inquired, "And what about Consort Xian?" Ling Lang hastily praised her. "She is the Chang'e, the moon fairy of the palace." But, she added with a sly smile, the ancient texts say, Chang'e, after flying to the moon, eventually transformed into the moon spirit. And the moon spirit is another name for a toad. Having circled back to her original point, Ling Lang concluded with a triumphant glint in her eye. The Emperor could only gape at this quick-witted woman. Seeing the Emperor settle onto a chair, Ling Lang feigned confusion. "Aren't you going to flip the consort selection tiles tonight, Your Majesty?" The Emperor reached out, taking her hand and drawing her close. "Aren't we a pair of swans?" he teased. "Why would I seek out a toad?" Ling Lang blushed, flustered. "I'm currently incapacitated," she stammered. The Emperor simply chuckled. "It's just for one night. If you're tired, rest. I have work to attend to." After reviewing his memorials, the Emperor walked over to the bed. He found Ling Lang fast asleep. He gently laid down beside her, gazing at her with a tenderness he rarely allowed himself to show. In her sleep, Ling Lang's hand drifted across his chest, her fingers unconsciously scratching at his skin. The Emperor's cheeks flushed. He thought he was dreaming. Her movements sent a jolt through him, his thoughts racing. Is she seducing me in her sleep? He looked at her peaceful face. She is my wife, after all. Surely there's no harm. He gently took her hand in his. And then, he didn't sleep for the rest of the night. The next morning, he was still awake when she stirred. Ling Lang, looking weary, murmured, "I had such a strange dream last night. I was holding 2 walnuts in my hand." The Emperor, mid-sip of tea, choked, spraying a fine mist across the room. A flicker of guilt crossed his face. He abruptly stood. "I must attend court," he declared, making a hasty exit. Outside, he questioned the head eunuch. "How are things in the harem?" "Consort Xian and Consort Zhang are managing everything smoothly," Your Majesty, the eunuch replied. He then ventured, will you be flipping Consort Xian's tile tonight? The emperor hesitated. No need, he finally said. Meanwhile, in Consort Xian's chambers, her handmaid fretted. His Majesty hasn't visited in over half a month. Consort Xian pondered, searching her memory for any possible slight she might have committed. Just then, another handmaid announced, Xiao Zhu, a maid from Consort Zhang's palace, requests an audience. Xiao Zhu knelt, trembling. Noble Consort Zun is having an affair. She blurted out, everything I say is true. If I lie, may I be struck down and never find peace in the afterlife. After a moment of contemplation, Consort Xian decided to visit Consort Zhang. After the customary greetings, she ordered Noble Consort Zun to be summoned. Unease gnawed at her. She decided to go to Noble Consort Zun's chambers herself to assess the situation. Upon arriving, she ordered a search, much to the shock of those present. Before Noble Consort Zun could understand what was happening, the eunuchs and palace maids presented the evidence. A pair of men's shoes and clothing were displayed. Noble Consort Zun, upon seeing this, fell to her knees, weeping and proclaiming her innocence, swearing like a cornered ostrich, yet unable to offer any real proof. Consort Zhang stood by, powerless, not daring to intervene. With the incident occurring within her own palace, even Consort Xian couldn't escape implication. How could she possibly speak up in Noble Consort Zun's defense? Suspected of infidelity, Noble Consort Zun was taken into custody by Consort Xian. Consort Zhang's palace was placed under lockdown. Eunuchs and maids were permitted entry, but no one was allowed to leave. No outsiders were permitted in or out. With a shrewd maneuver, Consort Xian requested the emperor's presence to oversee the matter, suggesting it would be best to avoid disturbing the empress's convalescence. Fortunately, Consort Zhang had taken precautions, and news of the unfolding events quickly reached the empress. Upon hearing the news, Ling Lang wept silently. Her maid, seeing her distress, questioned why no one had reported such a significant incident to Kuan-Ning Palace. Despite her discomfort, Ling Lang managed to speak. Consort Zhang is no match for Consort Xian, she murmured. She's too impulsive. She's barely made a move, and already they're trying to take me down. This is clearly someone's dirty scheme. With this happening in Consort Zhang's palace, she'll undoubtedly be implicated. And since she's one of my people, it reflects poorly on me as well. Jiwu Jiu is already constantly looking for ways to cause trouble for me. Ling Lang was determined not to let Consort Xian successfully condemn Noble Consort Zun. While Consort Xian presided over the investigation, Noble Consort Zun knelt before the emperor, weeping and pleading her innocence, yet failing to produce any evidence. Consort Xian pressed her relentlessly, demanding to know the identity of her supposed lover, not forgetting to subtly implicate the empress. The empress is so benevolent to you all, she declared. You're given an inch and you take a mile. I, unlike her majesty, will not tolerate such ingratitude. Knowing the empress would be dragged into the affair, Consort Zhang stepped forward to argue with Consort Xian. The emperor sat quietly, observing the drama unfold as if watching a play. After a while, he set down his teacup and spoke. If you're so certain of her guilt, consort, then surely you can quickly produce this supposed man. Knowing she had no way out, Consort Xian ordered Noble Consort Zun to be handed over to the Palace Security Bureau for interrogation. Consort Zhang, aware that she couldn't avoid involvement, quickly knelt and pleaded for the emperor's forgiveness before Consort Xian could pronounce any punishment. As a result, Consort Zhang was penalized with a forfeiture of half her stipend and placed under house arrest for a month. Just then, a call of halt rang out, and the empress, seated in a wheelchair, slowly entered the scene. Ling Lang surveyed the scene. What is all this commotion? She inquired. Consort Xian hastily explained, Forgive me, your majesty. I took it upon myself to handle this matter, fearing it would disturb your recovery. I didn't wish to trouble you with it. Ling Lang fixed Consort Xian with a stern gaze. I was speaking with his majesty, she stated coldly. How dare you interrupt? Consort Xian, suitably chastened, apologized and retreated to the side, silent. The empress then commenced her own investigation, ordering the man's clothing to be brought forward. She began to question the palace maid who had dared to make the accusation to Consort Xian. You say you saw a man enter Noble Consort Zun's chambers. At what time? And where were you? The palace maid, drenched in a cold sweat, bowed low. This servant saw the man enter yesterday. Around the second watch, she stammered through the window. The empress pressed her further. At the second watch, the palace gates are still open. What were you doing at Ham Kwang Palace at that hour? And where were the eunuchs on duty? She paused, then continued. Did you see the man's face? It was dark, Your Majesty, the maid pleaded. I couldn't see his face clearly. I only remember he wore the uniform of the Imperial Guard. The Empress considered this. If he climbed the wall, she mused, there must be footprints. Have the eunuchs investigate. See if there are any marks on the wall or in the surrounding area. The Emperor, observing the proceedings with an air of amusement, addressed the Empress. Are you intending to overturn this case? He asked. Ling Lang replied smoothly, we must examine the evidence before reaching a conclusion. Besides, she added with a pointed glance at Consort Cien, Consort Cien is so intelligent. Surely her judgment is trustworthy. Consort Cien's face stiffened at the thinly veiled sarcasm. She knew the Empress was clever and difficult to predict, and a flicker of unease ran through her. At that moment, a eunuch returned to report that no footprints had been found on the wall or in the surrounding area. A hint of triumph touched the Empress's lips. Perhaps this Imperial Guard possesses exceptional lightness of foot, she remarked dryly. Then bring forth the evidence found in noble consort Zun's chambers. The Empress examined the Imperial Guard's uniform. This garment is completely new, she observed. It smells only of fresh fabric. It has clearly never been worn. Consort Cien countered, perhaps noble consort Zun had it made as a gift for the guard. An excellent question, the Empress conceded. However, judging by the materials and stitching, this did not originate within the palace. It could only have come from the Imperial Guard's own stores. The Imperial Guard's uniforms are supplied by the Ministry of Revenue's garment workshops, she continued, her gaze sweeping over the assembled courtiers. Then they're distributed to the Ministry of War. Speaking of the Ministry of Revenue, she added, directing her attention to Consort Cien, you must know more about this than I do. This uniform was planted to frame noble consort Zun, the Empress declared. Is not a genuine uniform of the Imperial Guard. The Emperor raised an eyebrow. How can you be so certain? He inquired. Every Imperial Guard uniform is embroidered with an identification number, Ling Lang explained. This number is used for tracking and investigation. The uniform in noble consort Zun's chambers bears no such marking. Turning to noble consort Zun, the Empress asked gently, who have you offended to warrant such a scheme? This plot not only threatens your life, but also tarnishes the Emperor's reputation. Her gaze then shifted back to Consort Cien. Such a clumsy plan, she murmured, to pronounce judgment before a thorough investigation, and to so carelessly disregard the Emperor's reputation, that how very reckless of you, Consort Cien. Consort Cien, realizing her precarious position, promptly dropped to her knees. Your Majesty, she pleaded, this concubine was merely eager to resolve the matter swiftly. Besides, the evidence and witnesses are clear. The palace maid insists she saw everything with her own eyes. The Empress smiled faintly and gestured for the silver that had been found in the maid's quarters to be brought forward. As the confiscated silver and jewelry were displayed, she addressed the accusing maid. You are but a lowly palace maid. How did you come to possess such wealth? Someone has bribed you to frame noble consort Zun, haven't they? I will give you one more chance. Tell the truth, and I will spare your life. If not, I will uncover the truth myself, and you will face the consequences. The maid's head bowed further, tears streaming down her face. I confess, she sobbed. Please spare my life. The assembled courtiers exchanged glances, impressed by the Empress's astuteness. The following day, a eunuch arrived with grave news. Noble consort Zun, she has hanged herself, he stammered, his voice barely a whisper. Ling Lang stared at him, stunned. What? She breathed. But I cleared her name. Why? Why would she do this? The attempt was unsuccessful, Your Majesty, the eunuch clarified. Consort Zhang intervened and saved her. She asks if Your Majesty would visit noble consort Zun. Ling Lang's expression hardened. She saw through noble consort Zun's ploy. No need, she said coolly. She doesn't truly wish to die. This morning performance, it's for everyone to see her supposed innocence. Suyu, Ling Lang instructed her maid, select some fine jewelry and take it to noble consort Zun. Tell her, your innocence and honor are clear to both His Majesty and myself. Later, another eunuch arrived. Your Majesty, he announced, His Majesty has promoted noble consort Zun 2 ranks to the 5th rank beauty. He has also bestowed upon her the title Jin in praise of her virtue. Ling Lang sensed an opportunity. The emperor seemed to be in good spirits. Perhaps now was the time to broach the subject she had been pondering. Perhaps, she mused aloud, a scholar of Western learning should be added to the Imperial Academy. I've been studying these Western texts, she continued, turning to the emperor. As a woman, I won't have time to master them all. It would be beneficial to have more scholars studying these works to properly understand them. The emperor paused, considering. This is unprecedented, he said slowly. It requires careful consideration. We cannot afford to wait, Ling Lang insisted. The sooner, the better. In fact, she declared, puffing out her chest slightly, I would be willing to serve as this scholar of Western learning. The idea of the empress, herself, becoming a scholar of Western studies was so audacious that no one dared to object. The emperor sighed. You, amongst a group of men, he muttered. It would be utterly chaotic, not to mention the gossip, he added. Even my authority couldn't suppress that. Ling Lang opened her mouth to argue, but the emperor held up a hand, stopping her. Why the urgency? He asked, his expression turning serious. There is a powerful force. Though not yet at our doorstep, we must be wary. We cannot wait for them to attack, Ling Lang explained. It's better to understand them, to be prepared. The emperor frowned. How do you know they will inevitably attack us? Their emperor openly encourages plunder, Ling Lang replied. Their power is built on seizing wealth from others. For them, it's a path to heroism. They may not be a threat now, but who can predict the future? We must be vigilant. The emperor listened intently. He rose to his feet, a look of admiration in his eyes. You are truly wise and insightful, he praised. If there is any reward you desire, just name it. Ling Lang blushed. This subject has everything she could want, she demurred. I require no reward from your majesty. Then I shall bestow a reward upon you anyway, the emperor declared playfully. Lift your head. Ling Lang froze, her eyes widening as she looked up at him. What are you thinking? He asked, a hint of amusement in his voice. Ling Lang, flustered, blurted out, Your Majesty. You look very handsome. A blush crept up both their faces. The emperor wondered if she was teasing him. Gently lifting her chin, he leaned down and kissed her cheek. I didn't realize that was the reward you desired, he murmured. Ling Lang was mortified, yet a thrill shot through her at his unexpected gesture. He was captivated by her, though his pride prevented him from admitting it outright. The moment was shattered by the arrival of a young eunuch. The boy stopped short, witnessing the intimate scene. Ling Lang, mortified, quickly excused herself and hurried away. The emperor, momentarily frozen, composed himself and beckoned the young eunuch closer. What is it? He asked. The eunuch bowed deeply. Your Majesty, he stammered, the Empress Dowager requests your presence at Sinang Palace. She wishes to discuss Lady Su's entry into the Imperial Harem and the bestowal of a title. He added, his voice even lower. She is quite insistent, Your Majesty. Consort Su, Ling Lang mused to herself. The Empress Dowager's relative, closer than even Consort Sien. I must ensure she doesn't attain too high a rank. Meanwhile, at Sinang Palace, the Empress Dowager was singing Lady Su's praises. Such a gentle and refined young woman, she declared to the emperor. All the women in the imperial harem are gentle and refined, Ling Lang retorted, a hint of steel in her voice. The Empress Dowager, undeterred, continued, she is also quite learned. Then perhaps she should take the imperial examinations and become a scholar official, Ling Lang suggested, a glint in her eye. She could serve your majesty with her intellect, rather than vying for favor in the harem. She is renowned as the most beautiful woman in the capital, the Empress Dowager pressed on. Even the most beautiful can be rejected in marriage. Ling Lang countered smoothly, referencing Lady Su's broken engagement. The two women locked horns, neither willing to concede. The emperor, amused by the spectacle, sipped his tea, watching as his mother struggled to maintain her composure against Ling Lang's sharp wit. Consort Sien, seated beside him, caught the Empress Dowager's pleading glance, but remained silent. She knew the emperor was still displeased with her, likely for her involvement in the noble consort Zun affair. Interfering now, on behalf of Lady Su, would be unwise. Keeping her head bowed, she remained resolutely out of the fray. The Empress Dowager, increasingly desperate, turned her beseeching gaze upon her son. Sensing the impending pressure, The emperor quickly averted his gaze. He had no desire to elevate Lady Su to a high-ranking consort. How could he possibly support his mother's request? In the end, Lady Su was granted the relatively low rank of 6th-rank talent. As the emperor wheeled Ling Lang back to Kuan-Ning Palace, he couldn't help but praise her negotiating skills. Your bargaining tactics are truly impressive, he chuckled. If you ever depose me, Ling Lang declared with a playful smirk, I could become a merchant. I have plenty of skills to avoid starvation. The emperor's amusement faded, a pang of sadness striking him. He sighed softly. I would never depose you, he thought to himself. Exhaustion settled over Ling Lang. She reflected on the constant battles she faced within the palace walls, the endless scheming and maneuvering. The ever-present threat of Ji Wu loomed large in her mind. The most terrifying aspect was his unpredictability. As emperor, he held her life in his hands. She had no appetite for dinner. Craving fresh air, she stepped out into the courtyard, her firearm in hand. Aiming at a bird perched on a branch, she fired. The recoil, unexpectedly powerful, sent her tumbling backward into the palace lake. Her maid screamed in alarm. Just then, a figure plunged into the water, pulling her to safety. It was Biao Xie, her 6th commander. Shivering from the cold, Ling Lang opened her eyes to see Biao Xie's concerned face. Tears welled up, overflowing down her cheeks. She wept like a child who had finally found solace in the arms of a protector. Eunuchs rushed forward to assist, but she refused their help, clinging to Biao Xie. He carried her towards Kuan-Ning Palace, only to encounter the emperor on the path. The maids hastily knelt, explaining the situation. Your Majesty, the empress accidentally fell into the lake. The 6th commander rescued her and is escorting her back to her chambers. The emperor, taking in the scene, swiftly scooped Ling Lang from Biao Xie's arms, holding her close. He noticed her glance back at her cousin, a flicker of jealousy sparking within him. Turning to leave, he paused, casting a pointed look at the 6th commander, a clear warning to stay away from the empress. Ling Lang, shivering, urged him to hurry. I'm freezing, she said. His words were gruff, but laced with concern. Such a hurry. Do you not need your legs anymore? He quipped, the jealousy still simmering. Why were you crying? He asked. He'd never seen her cry before. Back at Kuan-Ning Palace, the imperial physician examined her, cautioning rest and care due to her still healing leg and the newly acquired chill. Noticing a wound on her hand, the emperor inquired about it. The physician speculated it might have been caused by something in the lake. I was careless with the firearm, Ling Lang admitted weakly. I didn't realize its power. It injured my hand. The emperor's concern turned to anger. Injured in the leg and still so reckless. Firearms are dangerous. You're playing with your life. Ling Lang, bundled in blankets, burrowed deeper into the bed. I know. I'll be more careful next time, she mumbled. Don't pretend, he said, softening. Come out. I was only worried about you. Suddenly remembering something, Ling Lang turned to the head eunuch, Wang Yukai. Quickly, retrieve the bird I shot from the lake. Don't let anyone else take it. The emperor stopped Wang Yukai. Go get it, he commanded his own eunuch. Bring it to Qianqing Palace. Ling Lang blisted. It's mine. She protested. You are mine, the emperor retorted. So all your belongings are mine as well. No more playing with dangerous things. That's an imperial decree. Later that evening, a palace maid rushed in, her voice urgent. Your Majesty, the empress has a high fever. The emperor's heart sank as he saw Ling Lang flushed and feverish in bed. The maid brought medicine, but Ling Lang refused to take it. Worried, the emperor gently held her and opened her mouth. This is how you administer medicine effectively, he instructed the maid. Dismissing the attendants, he declared, I'll stay with the empress tonight. Gazing at her, with a mixture of tenderness and exasperation, he sighed. You're usually so strong, he murmured. It's rare to see you so vulnerable. Ling Lang, delirious with fever, began to speak in her sleep. Father, she pleaded, I don't want to marry the emperor. Please don't make me marry him. The emperor stiffened. So, she hadn't wanted to marry him from the start. He hadn't wanted to marry her either. But now, the deed was done. They were husband and wife. So many in the harem, yet she was the only one who seemed to resent him. They say it takes 15 years to share a boat and 100 years to share a pillow, he mused. Ours must be an ill-fated connection. Perhaps it would have been better if we hadn't met. Ling Lang awoke the next morning to find the emperor asleep by her bedside. The plum blossoms outside were in full bloom. She wanted to go out and see them, but the palace maids tried to stop her, fearing she would catch another chill. Frustrated, Ling Lang invoked her authority, demanding to be allowed outside. Wheeled out into the gardens by a eunuch, Ling Lang found herself surrounded by the assembled concubines. They were all there, ostensibly to admire the plum blossoms with the emperor. Upon seeing Ling Lang, Ji Wujiu hurried towards her, a tender gesture betraying his concern as he touched her forehead. The watching concubines, consort Xian among them, couldn't hide their disappointment at this display of affection. Zhou Fei, ever attentive, draped a shawl around Ling Lang's shoulders. "The air is still chilly, Your Majesty," she murmured. "We mustn't risk another cold." Catching sight of consort Xian, Ling Lang realized the emperor had forgiven her recent transgression. Together, the group proceeded towards the imperial gardens. There, amidst the fragrant blossoms, stood consort Li, plucking a delicate plum blossom. Ling Lang understood. Her confinement was over. Consort Li approached, offering the blossom to Ling Lang with a graceful curtsy. This small act seemed to further endear her to the emperor. He teased her gently. "Why only the empress? What about me? I shall grow jealous." Consort Li made a move to pluck another blossom, but Ji Wujiu suggested they retire to consort Li's chambers instead. She beamed with delight. Ling Lang watched them go, a sense of helplessness washing over her. It seemed consort Li was determined to reclaim the emperor's favor, and consort Xian wouldn't sit idly by. With Lady Su's arrival imminent, the palace was about to become even more turbulent. The following day, the concubines gathered to pay their respects to Ling Lang. Lady Su, newly arrived, was among them. Tradition dictated that a talent of the 6th rank should not be seated. However, mindful of Lady Su's connection to the emperor as his cousin, Ling Lang offered her a seat, a subtle gesture of respect for Ji Wujiu. Lady Su was indeed breathtakingly beautiful. No wonder she had already captured the emperor's attention. Word had spread that the emperor had summoned Lady Su the previous night. The conversation buzzed around her. "Lady Su, you are so fortunate," they chirped, "and so lovely. It's no wonder His Majesty favors you." Lady Su, however, wore a strained smile. While the emperor had shared her bed, he had kept his back to her, untouched and distant. She was not one to brazenly seduce a man. Ling Lang presented Lady Su with a prepared gift, having been forbidden by the emperor from gifting any more jade toads. She offered a fragrant sandalwood bracelet instead. The concubines murmured amongst themselves. Wasn't that the same bracelet the emperor wore? Through the palace whispers, Ling Lang learned the bracelet was indeed an imperial gift, a tribute from the western regions. The emperor had kept one for himself and sent the rest to Kuan-Ning Palace. Later, at the Empress Dowager's Xinang Palace, the emperor and Lady Su arrived to pay their respects. Lady Su, noticing the emperor's bracelet, felt a surge of happiness. As they left, she playfully held up her wrist, showing off her matching bracelet. "See, we're a perfect pair." The emperor, curious, asked where she had gotten it. "The empress gifted it to me," she replied, beaming. "Cousin Biao Xie and cousin Biao Mei, a match made in heaven." Displeased by her words, the emperor abruptly removed his bracelet and offered it to her. "Here," he said curtly, "you can have this one too." And with that, he turned and walked away, leaving Su Rong alone with her simmering resentment. Ji Wujiu found himself drawn back to Ling Lang. He harbored a growing affection for her, yet hesitated to express it directly, instead finding constant pretexts to visit her quarters. Today, it was official business, a stack of memorials requiring her seal. He glanced over at her, catching her sketching diagrams for some sort of firearm. A teasing smile played on his lips. "Still at it with those bird-blasting contraptions. Your foot's barely healed, and you're already plotting to injure the other one." Ling Lang blisted. This Ji Wujiu, he was clearly looking for a fight. He'd hoped she'd simply approve the memorials, but one in particular gave him pause. It concerned the Yi family. He sighed inwardly. She was Yi Tu-ming's niece, true, but now she was his wife. As long as she didn't prioritize her family's interests and supported his decisions, all would be well. He imagined everything proceeding smoothly, only to be stunned when Ling Lang struck a decisive line through the very memorial he'd been concerned about. She then proceeded to articulate her reasoning, leaving him gaping at her. Her blunt honesty, leaving no room for maneuver, irked him. This, he realized, was the true Yi Ling Lang. A few days later, as Ji Wujiu reviewed more memorials, a eunuch burst in, throwing himself to the ground. "Your Majesty, it's the Empress. She's gone mad." Alarm etched on his face. Ji Wujiu rushed to investigate. He arrived to find Ling Lang perched precariously on the roof. "Ling Lang, what are you doing? Get down from there. Your foot's just healed. Do you want to injure it again?" he roared. A eunuch scurried forward with a ladder, preparing to climb up and retrieve her, only to stumble back in fear as Ling Lang brandished a firearm, a surprisingly imposing figure against the sky. A grin spread across Ji Wujiu's face. She'd actually done it. She'd built a repeating firearm. He was both surprised and delighted by her success. Ling Lang's voice rang out, calm and clear. "Wang Yukai, take the ladder away. I'm not coming down." Ji Wujiu extended his arms, a silent invitation. He would catch her. Without hesitation, she jumped, landing safely in his embrace. His heart pounded. The eunuchs and palace maids exchanged envious glances. "How many shots?" he asked, still holding her close. "6, she replied. He burst into laughter, his joy unrestrained. The eunuchs and maids, witnessing this display of affection, wiped beads of sweat from their brows. Here they went again. The last one only fired a single shot, Ji Wujiu explained, his excitement palpable. "On the battlefield, we need weapons like this." He took her diagrams and ordered them distributed, instructing the armory to begin production immediately. His elation bubbling over, he asked what reward she desired. "Make me a general," she responded, surprising him with her boldness. He readily agreed. "But a general's commission requires a seal," she pointed out, feigning hesitation. "A general's seal isn't official," he countered, presenting her with a tiger head token. "This will grant you free access to the palace. Come and go as you please." Afterwards, Ji Wujiu reflected on his impulsive gesture. He wouldn't regret it, he mused. Meanwhile, in the Yinshi palace, the concubines were gathered. Consort Wang was conspicuously absent, and Ling Lang had dispatched a servant to inquire about her whereabouts. Just then, a breathless palace maid rushed in with the news. Consort Wang was pregnant. The emperor had a multitude of concubines, yet not a single heir. Until now, finally, Consort Wang carried the imperial heir. A stunned silence fell over the assembled women, quickly replaced by a surge of barely concealed envy and ambition. In the Kuan-Ning Palace, Ling Lang pondered the implications. Her maid remarked on the significance of the pregnancy, certain that the emperor would be overjoyed. After all, this was his first child, or so it seemed. The truth was, he'd once had a daughter, but she had died mysteriously at the age of 1. Children, therefore, held a special significance for him. Furthermore, 2 other concubines had conceived, but neither pregnancy had resulted in a live birth. Ling Lang teased Ji Wujiu about his eagerness for an heir, how he diligently tended his garden by flipping through the concubines' name plaques each night. The palace maids giggled at her irreverence. Ling Lang idly flipped through a book, a secret thought forming in her mind. She had no intention of bearing him children. In the future, regardless of which concubine's son ascended the throne, as long as she lived, she would be the Empress Dowager. The emperor, a man of passionate yet fleeting affections, seemed strangely indifferent to Consort Wang's pregnancy. Instead, he sought out Ling Lang. Seeing him approach, the palace maids discreetly withdrew, closing the doors behind them. He immediately captured Ling Lang in a kiss, leaving her momentarily breathless. Before she could react, he swept her into his arms and carried her to the bed. His intentions were clear. Tonight, he would claim her. Fear flickered in Ling Lang's eyes. "Your Majesty," she stammered, "I'm not feeling well tonight." Unfazed, he murmured, "I'll make you feel better," a statement that only amplified her apprehension. Desperate, she grasped for another excuse. "I'm having my monthly courses." His response was audacious. "I'll be the judge of that." With each excuse thwarted, her frustration mounted. Exasperated, she finally voiced her true feelings. "I don't want to sleep with you. You have so many concubines. Find someone else." He could barely contain his rising anger. In the next instant, he kissed her face, whispering, "No one is as good as you." Ling Lang tried to reason with herself. They were husband and wife. Consummation was inevitable. Suddenly, images of Ji Wujiu with his other concubines flooded her mind. A wave of nausea overwhelmed her, and she pushed him away, retching violently. He fought back his fury. "Do you hate me that much?" he demanded. "To be so repulsed by me." Feeling utterly rejected, he stormed out in a rage. Consumed by his anger, he held court for several consecutive days, his foul mood unsettling the entire court. Even the eunuchs trembled in his presence, terrified of inadvertently incurring his wrath. He found himself in the company of consort Sue, playing the zither, his face a mask of brooding discontent. Consort Sue danced gracefully to the music. As he watched her, he saw Ling Lang approaching. He immediately stopped playing the zither in a fit of pique. Lady Sue, caught off guard, stumbled and fell. Ji Woo Jio rushed to help her up, solicitously inquiring if she was all right. His attentiveness to her was a deliberate provocation aimed at Ling Lang. Ling Lang watched the scene unfold, a silent observer. Lady Sue, noticing her arrival, leaned further into Ji Woo Jio's embrace, feigning a delicate helplessness. "Your Majesty," she whined, "Biaoxie was playing so quickly just now." She completely disregarded Ling Lang's presence, not even offering a curtsy. Ling Lang, her patience wearing thin, reprimanded Lady Sue for her blatant disregard of palace etiquette. Lady Sue hastily knelt, offering a perfunctory apology, resentment simmering beneath the surface. Ling Lang smiled thinly. "If I don't punish a talent of the 6th rank like you today," she stated, "then no one in the harem will respect the rules. Where would the dignity of this palace be?" With that, she decreed Lady Sue's punishment: 2 hours kneeling outside Kuan-Ning Palace to contemplate proper palace conduct. As Lady Sue knelt, enduring the mocking whispers of the palace servants, her humiliation festered. Accustomed to the pampered life of the Empress Dowager's niece, this public disgrace was unbearable. A seed of revenge began to take root. Meanwhile, the Empress Dowager fretted over her miscalculated maneuver. She had envisioned Consort Xian and Lady Sue as her allies against Ling Lang, but the two women harbored a mutual dislike. Consort Xian found Lady Sue's presence irritatingly unlucky, while Lady Sue viewed Consort Xian as overly calculating. The Empress Dowager realized she needed a new pawn in her game, someone capable of dethroning Ling Lang. Ling Lang, anticipating the Empress Dowager's next move, braced herself for the inevitable storm. She suspected Consort Li would likely join forces with Lady Sue. Consort Li, a woman of high rank, favored by the emperor and known for her blunt nature, would be a formidable weapon. They make a fitting pair, Ling Lang mused, one with high status, the other with a malicious heart. Overhearing this, her maid panicked. "What should we do, Your Majesty?" she cried. "Are we just supposed to sit here and wait?" Ling Lang remained calm. "Those two women don't concern me," she replied, "as long as the emperor doesn't support them." Her maid, her face etched with worry, pointed out that Ji Woo Jio hadn't visited Kuan-Ning Palace in days. How could he possibly help her now? Ling Lang rose, a flicker of anger in her eyes. "The less he comes, the better," she declared. "I find it quite peaceful." The maid leaned in, whispering urgently, "Your Majesty, the emperor has secretly left the palace. I heard he's gone to a rather disreputable place." Ling Lang's curiosity was piqued. A close eunuch, aware of Ji Woo Jio's foul mood since leaving Kuan-Ning Palace, had suggested a place to alleviate his frustrations. This place turned out to be a notorious brothel in the capital. As Ji Woo Jio entered, he was immediately surrounded by a throng of eager courtesans. He recoiled, disgusted by their blatant solicitations, wanting nothing more than to leave. The eunuch, sensing his displeasure, instructed the madam to bring forth the most beautiful woman in the establishment. The madam presented a young woman named Yang Yu. As she sat down, Ji Woo Jio placed a stack of banknotes on the table. "Tell me," he demanded, "how does one convince a woman to share their bed?" The courtesan, presented with the banknotes and such a question, felt a flicker of avarice. This was a chance to change her destiny. Feigning innocence, she simpered. "Although I work in this establishment, I sell my artistry, not my body. Truly, I've never been intimate with a man." This blatant lie, however, backfired spectacularly. Ji Woo Jio's face twisted in disgust. "Find someone with more experience," he ordered. Another courtesan, Hong Yun, replaced the first. She immediately attempted to drape herself over him, but Ji Woo Jio pushed her away. "I'm not here for amusement," he stated coldly, gesturing to the stack of banknotes. "Answer my question," he continued, "and this money is yours. How do I convince a woman to share my bed?" Hong Yun, her fingers already toying with the banknotes, feigned confusion. "But young master, you're so handsome," she purred. "I can't imagine any woman resisting you." Ji Woo Jio sighed in exasperation. There's one woman, he admitted, who won't even let me touch her. She finds me repulsive. Good. Perhaps she's just shy, she suggested. She's already married, Ji Woo Jio countered. Hong Yun's professional smile faltered. Inwardly, she seethed. This handsome man was a fool, trying to seduce a married woman. This woman clearly doesn't like you, she stated bluntly. She must have someone else in her heart. Yivuyu, enraged, snap, silence. Back in the palace, just as Ling Lang had predicted, Lady Su sought out Consort Li. Their shared animosity towards the Empress forged an unlikely alliance. A treacherous plot against Ling Lang began to take shape. Returning to the palace, Jiwoo Jio found Ling Lang flying a kite. Suddenly, it snagged on the roof. He hesitated, unsure whether to offer assistance. To his surprise, Ling Lang called upon Yi Tu-ming, the commander of the 6th Battalion, her cousin. This fueled Ji Woo Jio's suspicions. Did Ling Lang have feelings for Yi Tu-ming? The commander retrieved the kite and returned it to Ling Lang. Ling Lang noticed a cut on his neck and inquired about it. Yi Tu-ming explained it was a minor injury sustained during a sparring match. Your training protects His Majesty, Ling Lang acknowledged. Your loyalty is commendable. She then instructed a servant to fetch some medicinal herbs for him. Ji Woo Jio stood frozen, reeling from the scene. Jealousy gnawed at him. He recalled the courtesan's words. A woman who shows no interest must have someone else in her heart. The thought infuriated him. He glared at Ling Lang, his fists clenched. Suddenly, a eunuch rushed towards him, bearing grave news. Consort Wang had miscarried. Upon hearing the news, Ling Lang rushed to Consort Wang's side. But as she entered the doorway, the Empress Dowager's furious voice rang out. "You venomous woman!" She shrieked. "Kneel!" Ling Lang responded calmly. "My other foot is still outside the doorway. I'm not even fully inside, so I'm unsure how I could have possibly angered the Empress Dowager." The Empress Dowager's voice dripped with venom. "You dare ask, why did you harm Consort Wang? I burn incense and pray every day, and finally, she carries the imperial air. Yet you, consumed by jealousy, dare to hurt her." Ling Lang thought, why is it that every incident in the palace is automatically my fault? She glanced at Ji Woo Jio. His face was a mask of fury, and she assumed his anger stemmed from concern for the lost child. In reality, his rage was directed at Yi Tu-ming, commander of the 6th Battalion. Unwilling to back down from the Empress Dowager, Ling Lang held her ground. "Empress Dowager, you burn incense daily, yet either the Bodhisattva isn't listening or your prayers lack sincerity. These matters have nothing to do with me. You accuse me of harming Consort Wang. Do you have any proof?" The Empress Dowager retorted, "The Emperor and I wouldn't accuse you without evidence." The Empress Dowager summoned the imperial physician. "Consort Wang suffered a gunshot wound to the bone," he explained. "The child could not be saved." Both Ling Lang and Ji Woo Jio understood the implications. After Ling Lang's incident with the firearm, Ji Woo Jio had confiscated all the gunpowder and ammunition, placing the area under guard. It was impossible for her to be the culprit. Ling Lang looked to Ji Woo Jio for support, expecting him to clear her name. He remained silent, consumed by his own internal turmoil, fixated on Ling Lang's perceived dislike for him. Seeing Ji Woo Jio's inaction, Ling Lang realized she could only rely on herself. Turning to the Empress Dowager, she declared, "I will not admit to something I didn't do. The true culprit has meticulously framed me. Within 5 days, I will present evidence of my innocence." Outside, she reproached Ji Woo Jio. "Was it entertaining, Your Majesty, watching me fight this battle alone?" Ignoring the matter of Consort Wang's miscarriage, Ji Woo Jio changed the subject entirely. "You like your cousin, don't you?" he accused. Ling Lang was taken aback by the sudden, non-sequitur accusation. Consumed by jealousy, Ji Woo Jio unleashed a torrent of accusations. "We grew up together, studied together. I taught you martial arts. You didn't even cry when faced with a tiger, yet you cry so easily in front of him." He paced, his agitation growing. "You worry about him. You gave him precious medicine when he was injured. You protect him. Only the commander of the royal guard uses firearms in the palace. Yet when you're accused, you don't even consider him a suspect. Your father even wanted to marry you to him. It's a pity you ended up married to me instead." Unable to bear it any longer, Ling Lang raised her voice. "Your Majesty, what nonsense are you spouting? Destined to be together. Preposterous." Ji Woo Jio grabbed her arms. "Prove it to me then," he demanded. "Don't just offer empty words. Do I hold any place in your heart?" He released her slowly. Turning to leave, he looked back over his shoulder. Ling Lang, he said, his voice low and possessive. No matter who occupies your thoughts, you will always belong to me. The thought of her with another man tormented him. The eunuch Hong Yin pleaded with Ji Wu Jiao to clear Ling Lang's name. Instead, his words only fueled the emperor's simmering resentment. I haven't abandoned her, he snapped, his voice tight with barely suppressed anger. I simply don't want to think about her for a few days. Ji Wu Jiao reveled in his plan. He would wait until Ling Lang was utterly cornered, then swoop in to vindicate her, proving his indispensability. He imagined the gratitude in her eyes, the realization that he was her only true protector. Little did he know this strategy would backfire spectacularly, further eroding any affection she might have held for him. Meanwhile, Ling Lang visited Consort Wang, pale and distraught from the loss of her child. The consort knelt on the floor, her grief palpable. Clutching Ling Lang's sleeve, Consort Wang pleaded, "Your Majesty, please find the person responsible. You are the only one who can avenge my innocent child." Ling Lang looked at her, surprised. "Why ask me? The Empress Dowager has already accused me. Why do you still trust me?" Consort Wang's voice was thick with despair. "If you truly wanted to harm me, why would you be so careful to leave no trace? Why use a firearm so brazenly?" Ling Lang paused, struck by the consort's words. Even Consort Wang recognized she had been framed. So many in the palace wish me harm, she thought. Then I will simply have to live long enough and well enough to spite them all. Ling Lang ordered a reenactment of the shooting, hoping to uncover some clue. The scene was reconstructed. Consort Wang, back to the door, the wound angled across her shoulder. On the opposite wall, faint claw marks were etched into the surface, along with a footprint. The area was secluded, rarely used. The eunuch on duty that day swore he had seen no one pass by. There were no witnesses. Ling Lang dispatched her people to investigate the eunuch's recent contacts, focusing on any connections to carpenters or those skilled with weaponry, particularly firearms. She recalled the missing gunpowder and the bullet Hong Yun had failed to recover. It had likely fallen into the wrong hands. The next day, Ling Lang identified a suspect, a eunuch named Chun Ku, who served Consort Li and was known for his fascination with firearms. He was brought before the Empress Dowager, Ling Lang, and the assembled consorts for questioning. At first, Chun Ku vehemently denied any involvement, but Ling Lang, dispensing with pleasantries, employed methods of persuasion that quickly broke his resolve. Terrified, he begged for mercy. "I'll confess. I'll tell you everything. Please stop." He confessed to finding Ling Lang's firearm by the river. Consort Li, upon discovering it, instructed him to keep it hidden. Days later, she ordered him to use it against Consort Wang. He then claimed he was ordered to dispose of the weapon in the Tai Pond, but he kept it drawn to its power. Consort Li, now pale with terror, frantically pleaded with the emperor for forgiveness. Ji Wu Jiu regarded her with disgust. "I don't want to see your face again," he declared coldly. He demoted Consort Li to the rank of second-class female attendant, leaving the remaining matters to Ling Lang. Consort Li trembled, her face ashen. Ling Lang, though furious and wanting Consort Li executed, recognized her remaining value. She sentenced her to 40 lashes. Consort Li's screams echoed through the palace, a testament to her failed scheme. Her attempt to harm another had ultimately led to her own downfall. Ling Lang swept her gaze across the assembled consorts, her voice ringing with authority. "Both the emperor and the Empress Dowager are merciful. These 40 lashes for Consort Li are a warning. Should any of you dare to scheme behind my back again, I will show no such leniency." Ji Wu Jiao stared, captivated by Ling Lang's fierce, almost feral confidence. She looked like a wildcat, triumphant after a hard-won battle. Ling Lang met his gaze, a hint of pride in her eyes. "Your Majesty," she asked, "do you have anything to say to me?" A wave of shame washed over him. He had envisioned himself rescuing her, playing the hero. Reality, however, had delivered a sharp, stinging slap to his face. Once again, Ji Wu Jiao found himself in the notorious brothel, seeking counsel from Hong Yun. "Tell me," he pleaded, "how can I win her over?" Hong Yun inwardly scoffed. The emperor was a fool. Clearly, he subscribed to the notion that what he couldn't have was most desirable. She silently pitted whichever unfortunate woman had caught his eye. Unwilling to jeopardize her lucrative arrangement, Hong Yun refrained from voicing her true opinion. Instead, she offered carefully chosen words. "Your Majesty, women adore men who appear aloof. The more indifferent you are, the more captivated they become. It's a subtle art. The more you scold and demean a woman, the more obedient she will be. Ji Woo-ju listened, a flicker of doubt in his eyes. That may work for others, he said slowly, but with Ling Lang, the consequences could be dire. He knew instinctively this approach was flawed. Is there no other way? He asked. Hong Yun, fishing for more information, hesitated. May I ask, Your Majesty, what kind of woman is she? Yivu Yiu Site. Suffice it to say, she's difficult to please. Hong Yun, ever the pragmatist, continued her performance. If she's difficult to please, then there's only one solution. Kindness, Your Majesty. Consistent, unwavering kindness. Even the hardest stone will melt under the warmth of the sun. A human heart is far more susceptible. What do you mean by kindness? Yivu Yiu Prest. Give her gifts she'll cherish, Hong Yun suggested, her tone laced with subtle mockery. And smile, Your Majesty. You've been here twice now, and I've yet to see you smile. Try smiling when you speak to her. Ji Woo-ju considered this, intrigued. He attempted to smile, the result a rather unsettling, almost demonic grin that made even Hong Yun recoil. Perhaps, she stammered, we should try a different approach. Please, Your Majesty, she pleaded, don't smile like that. You'll scare her away. Meanwhile, at Consort Li's palace, Lady Su arrived, an unexpected visitor. Consort Li, still smarting from her punishment, glared at her. What are you doing here? She snarled. Haven't you caused me enough trouble with your advice? To Consort Li's astonishment, Lady Su slapped herself hard across the face and fell to her knees. Sister, I was wrong. I'm so useless. I've harmed you terribly. I'm new to the palace. I didn't realize the Empress was so cunning. I don't expect your forgiveness. Lady Su continued, her voice choked with false remorse. I just want you to stop being angry. If it makes you feel better, hit me. Just let me help you. I will help you. Finally, Lady Su arrived at her true purpose. Sister, she began, do you know Commander Yi Tu-ming, the 6th Battalion commander? I hear he and the Empress are siblings. And so, a new plot began to unfold, orchestrated by two minds steeped in deceit. Elsewhere, in Consort Xian's palace, Ji Woo-ju sat beside her, his thoughts consumed by Ling Lang. Consort Xian's gentle voice broke through Ji Woo-ju's reverie. Your Majesty, she said, a hint of reproach in her tone. You said you wanted to hear me play. Why are you so distracted? Ji Woo-ju forced a smile. My apologies, he murmured. My thoughts wandered. But the slip had already occurred. Mere moments later, he took Consort Xian's hand, a lovesick smile on his face, and uttered the name Ling Lang. Realizing his mistake, he quickly backtracked, attempting to cover his blunder with a nervous laugh. Consort Xian had never suspected that she was merely a substitute for the Empress in the Emperor's heart. Once, they had shared a genuine affection. She had even accepted sharing her beloved with others. She could tolerate sharing him, but being a replacement, a stand-in, was unbearable. Everyone believed the Emperor despised the Empress. The truth, however, was far more complex. The heart of an emperor, it seemed, was an enigma. A seed of resentment, a desire for revenge against the Empress, began to take root in Consort Xian's heart. The true cause of the Empress's misfortune, she realized, stemmed from the Emperor himself. Overcome with a sudden longing to see Ling Lang, Ji Woo-ju abruptly decided to leave Consort Xian's palace and head towards the Empress's quarters. Ling Lang occupied his every thought. Through Eunuch, he learned she was at Tai Pond, ice skating. Approaching the pond, he saw her laughing and enjoying herself with the others. A genuine smile touched his lips. Suddenly, Ling Lang lost her footing and stumbled towards him. With a soft thud, they collided, landing in a tangled embrace. Despite the momentary pain, Ji Woo-ju's heart soared with an unexpected joy. Ling Lang quickly scrambled to her feet, her eyes filled with concern. Without a word, Ji Woo-ju pulled her close, holding her tightly in his arms. He wished he could freeze time, savor this rare moment of closeness. Later, while paying his respects to the Empress Dowager, Ji Woo-ju found Lady Su there, whispering venomous lies about Ling Lang. She accused the Empress of having a secret affair with Yi Tu-ming, the commander of the 6th Battalion. Unable to bear it any longer, Ji Woo-ju slammed his teacup down. The Empress Dowager, sensing the rising tension, quickly intervened, providing cover for her niece's malicious scheme. What is the meaning of this outburst? She scolded Ji Woo-ju. Lady Su, she continued, turning to her niece, speak your mind. I am here, I will ensure justice is served. Lady Su feigned hesitation, then began her fabricated tale. It's nothing, really, she demurred. The other night, I couldn't sleep, so I went on Hoa Palace to pray. As I approached the palace, she continued, her voice dropping to a whisper. I heard voices inside, a man and a woman laughing. I was curious, but I was too far away to see clearly. I only heard the woman's voice, and it sounded like the Empress. And she called the man cousin. The Empress Dowager's eyes narrowed. Such accusations cannot be made lightly, she said. Are you certain of what you heard? Lady Su, with an innocent expression that belied her cunning, nodded firmly. I am certain, she insisted. I swear it. I would never lie about such a thing. The Empress Dowager turned to Ji Wu-jio, her gaze questioning. Your Majesty, she asked, what do you make of this? Ji Wu-jio, though previously consumed by jealousy towards Yi Tu-ming, felt a surge of protective anger towards Ling Lang. He fixed Lady Su with a warning glare. There is no need for you to intervene, Mother, he said, his voice cold. I will investigate this matter personally. I will not allow anyone's reputation to be tarnished by baseless accusations. The consorts, plotting against Ling Lang with the Empress Dowager's tacit approval, had underestimated Ji Wu-jio's protectiveness. While a flicker of jealousy had ignited within him at the mention of Ling Lang and Yi Tu-ming, his primary emotion was suspicion. After he departed, the Empress Dowager turned to Lady Su, her voice laced with reprimand. You are but a lowly second-class female attendant, she hissed. How dare you speak ill of the Empress before the Emperor? It was fortunate I was there to intervene. Otherwise, who knows what would have happened? Lady Su, ever the manipulator, feigned remorse, eager to appease the Empress Dowager. I was only concerned for your Majesty. She simpered, and I didn't want you to be troubled. Knowing Ji Wu-jio's filial piety, the Empress Dowager felt emboldened to continue her machinations against Ling Lang. However, a nagging doubt remained. What if the Emperor didn't believe Lady Su's fabricated story? Lady Su, confident in her scheme, smiled slyly. Everything was proceeding according to plan. Let him see it with his own eyes, she thought, her eyes gleaming with malicious intent. Then he'll have no choice but to believe. Back in his own palace, Ji Wu-jio, unable to focus on his work, summoned a eunuch from Kuan-ning Palace for information. Through the eunuch, Ji Wu-jio learned that Ling Lang had been leaving her quarters every night for 2 ku during the auspicious hour and returning 5 ku before the hour of the pig. Her destination remained a mystery. Ji Wu-jio pondered this information, realizing his own absence from Kuan-ning Palace during those times. He typically reviewed official documents in Kuan-ning Palace each evening. However, due to the inconvenience of transporting the documents and Ling Lang's dislike of feeling confined, he had been working in the Hall of Mental Cultivation and only visiting Kuan-ning Palace later at night. Yivu's curiosity intensified. Where could Ling Lang be going at that hour? Meanwhile, a young eunuch delivered Ling Lang's sachet to Yi Tu-ming, the commander of the 6th Battalion, along with a message. The Empress wishes to see you at 5 ku before the hour of the pig, the eunuch whispered. Meet her at Anhua Palace. Yi Tu-ming, holding the sachet, was filled with suspicion. He recognized the sachet. Ling Lang had embroidered it herself. Knowing her forgetful nature, he suspected she might have misplaced it, only for someone else to exploit the situation. Furthermore, Ling Lang was always discreet. A clandestine meeting at night seemed out of character. If she truly wanted to see him privately, why wouldn't she send a trusted confidant? Why a stranger? Yi Tu-ming concluded that this was a trap designed to frame Ling Lang. He resolved to uncover the truth and protect her as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, Ling Lang, as was her custom, set out for Anhua Palace to practice martial arts. Arriving at Anhua Palace, she began her preparations. Her attendant, curious about the martial arts manual Wang Yukai had provided, inquired about its effectiveness. Ling Lang, not having fully mastered the techniques, couldn't yet judge its efficacy. Not wanting to be disturbed, she instructed her attendant to stand guard outside. A short while later, the attendant was surprised to see Yi Tu-ming approach. He handed her the sachet, instructing her to keep it safe and prevent Ling Lang from losing it again. The attendant, stunned, stared at the sachet. This is the one she lost a few days ago, she thought, bewildered. How did it end up in his possession? The conversation outside disturbed Ling Lang's practice, prompting her to open the door to investigate. She was astonished to find Yi Tu-ming standing there. Excited to have a skilled martial artist to consult, she eagerly showed him the manual. Your martial arts skills are so impressive, she exclaimed. Come and help me decipher this book. Glancing over the manual, Yi Tu-ming remarked casually, it's just some basic internal cultivation techniques. Practicing them wouldn't hurt. Ling Lang, slightly offended, retorted, this is a peerless martial arts manual. Her declaration, made in front of a seasoned military commander, caused Yi Tu-ming to break out in a sweat. Quickly backpedaling, he stammered, my apologies, my memory failed me. Congratulations, cousin, on acquiring such a powerful skill. At that moment, Ji Wujio arrived, his face a mask of displeasure. It seems I've come in an opportune time, he stated coldly. Ling Lang opened her mouth to explain the unexpected situation. But before she could utter a word, she noticed a procession approaching from behind the emperor, including the Empress Dowager and Lady Su. With her sharp mind, Ling Lang instantly recognized the setup. This was a carefully orchestrated trap designed to corner her and recreate the accusations of infidelity from before. Ji Wujio, equally surprised by the Empress Dowager's presence, questioned, Mother, why are you here? Why shouldn't I be here? The Empress Dowager retorted, though I haven't managed the 6 palaces for some time, I cannot allow anyone to disrupt the peace of the inner court. Her gaze fixed on Ling Lang. She continued, of course, this matter must be investigated. We must prevent anyone from tarnishing the reputation and bloodline of the imperial family. It's quite lively here in Anhua Palace, isn't it? If the Empress wishes to reminisce with Commander Yi, perhaps a place of worship isn't the most appropriate setting. Clenching her fist to suppress her anger, Ling Lang calmly replied, Mother, you misunderstand. I was practicing martial arts in Anhua Palace and happened to encounter Commander Yi. His martial arts skills are renowned, and I merely sought his guidance. The Empress Dowager pressed further, Commander Yi, you are not on duty today. Why are you here? Thinking quickly, Ling Lang interjected, Mother, you are truly well informed. You even know Commander Ye's duty schedule. Ji Wujio then spoke, Empress, I will give you a chance to explain. Ling Lang, refusing to be intimidated, responded, I already explained. Why didn't you hear me? The Empress Dowager, pointing at Ling Lang, roared, Insolent wretch. How dare you speak to the Emperor in such a manner? You are utterly lawless. Seize this adulterous pair. Knowing she had been framed, Ling Lang remained undaunted. Facing the Empress Dowager's accusations, she calmly countered, Mother, I understand your concern for the purity and order of the inner court. However, making accusations without evidence is unjust and disregards the law. Following her prearranged plan, the Empress Dowager ordered a search of Yi Tu-ming's person. But to her dismay, the search yielded nothing. The Empress Dowager then turned to Yi Tu-ming, demanding, then perhaps Commander Yi can explain why he is here tonight, conversing so merrily with the Empress. Prepared for this question, Yi Tu-ming calmly replied, I am here on secret orders from His Majesty, to act as his hidden guard. As for the specifics of my mission, I am not at liberty to disclose them. Ji Wujio looked bewildered. I issued no such secret orders. I certainly didn't summon you here. Yi Tu-ming stood firm. I would not dare to utter a falsehood. Yesterday, a eunuch delivered me a decree bearing your Majesty's seal, commanding my presence here. Despite my suspicions, I dared not disobey. Unexpectedly finding the Empress at Anhua Palace, and not seeing the Emperor, I was emboldened to approach and inquire after her well-being. She then produced a martial arts manual and asked me a few questions. It was purely coincidental that His Majesty and the Empress Dowager arrived at that very moment. Tu-ming présented à Jade Pendant. Ji Wujio took it, surprised. It was his own, one he had discarded long ago and ordered to be stored away. Witnessing this, the Empress Dowager thought, could my son be taking my side? But this scheme is too easily exposed. Ling Lang, equally displeased, thought Ji Wujio is clearly behind this. But what a pathetic ploy. Ji Wujio's hand trembled as he gripped the jade pendant. He realized someone was trying to frame Ling Lang, and he had unwittingly played a part. This must be a forged decree, he declared. I will investigate this thoroughly. Which audacious servant would dare do such a thing? He wondered. The incident seemingly resolved, everyone began to disperse, leaving only Ji Wujio in a state of distress. Knowing he had offended Ling Lang, he hurried after her, attempting to take her hand and explain. She recoiled, spitting, Your Majesty is truly despicable. Ji Wujio, sweating profusely, pleaded, I truly knew nothing about that jade pendant. Ling Lang, ignoring him, turned to leave. The Emperor, usually the object of every consort's desire, now trailed behind her like a scolded puppy, aware of his transgression. Perhaps a servant from Qinqing Palace stole it and caused this mischief, he reasoned. How could I possibly help another man steal my own wife? A palace maid following Ling Lang remarked, Your Majesty, it seems that jade pendant truly wasn't his doing. Though intelligent, Ling Lang grew increasingly furious. Even if he wasn't directly involved, he still came here to accuse me. He wants me and cousin to be seen as having an affair. All that money he spent at the pleasure houses, learning his tricks, seems to have gone to waste. Relieved at Ling Lang's escape, Yi Tu-ming breathed a sigh of relief. Thankfully, I stole that jade pendant. Even if someone accuses her to the emperor in the future, he won't readily believe them. Back in his palace, Ji Wu-jio clutched the jade pendant tightly. Thankfully, Yi Tu-ming discovered the Empress Dowager's plot against Ling Lang. He had prepared this 9-dragon pendant in advance. This token changed everything. I won't punish him this time. But the Empress Dowager trying to frame Ling Lang for adultery, I absolutely will not. He trailed off, climbing into bed beside Ling Lang and sighing. Do you know how terrified I was that it might be true? A few days later, a palace maid reported a young eunuch had hanged himself in the stables. The Empress Dowager ordered Yi Tu-ming to investigate whether he was the one who had forged the imperial decree. At that moment, a trusted eunuch whispered to Ling Lang, Your Majesty, Commander Yi asks if there's anyone you wish to have dealt with. Ling Lang instantly understood que tu mingues intention. The Empress Dowager wanted to silence anyone involved. The hanged eunuch must have been the one who forged the decree, or perhaps knew something else. But since cousin is the only witness, his word is law. Last night I was careless. If not for cousin's timely intervention, this matter wouldn't have been so easily resolved. Ling Lang, not one to be easily trifled with, instructed the eunuch to relay a message to Yi Tu-ming. I've caused you undue worry. I can handle those I wish to deal with myself. She truly didn't want her cousin dragged into the intrigues of the inner court, becoming a target for others' resentment. Later that evening, as Ling Lang lay awake, Ji Wu-jio, feigning concern, asked what troubled her. Turning to him, she seriously inquired, Can you tell me who else, besides the Empress Dowager, was behind last night's events? Ji Wu-jio, desperate to appease her, seized the opportunity to confess. Before Ling Lang, he was like a child caught in mischief, earnestly admitting his fault. He dared not hesitate. That night, Ji Wu-jio clung to Ling Lang, making it difficult for her to sleep. In her half-sleep, Ling Lang felt an oppressive heat, something heavy pressing against her that she couldn't remove. Exasperated, she finally yanked it away. It was Ji Wu-jio's manhood. A piercing scream ripped through the air, followed by Ji Wu-jio's pained cry. Ji Wu-jio, with a harem at his disposal, yet focused solely on winning Ling Lang's affections, now found himself in a predicament of his own making. The imperial physician, sweating profusely, declared no conjugal relations for several days. Next time, Your Majesty's a little more gentleness. Ling Lang, mortified, was speechless. Ji Wu-jio, already in pain, milked the situation for all its worth, clinging to Ling Lang and exaggerating his discomfort, increasing her guilt. Seizing the opportunity, he pulled her close, whispering, Ling Lang, don't be angry anymore. Receiving her forgiveness, Ji Wu-jio felt the pain was a small price to pay. Worth it, he thought, despite the throbbing. Later, as Ji Wu-jio reviewed memorials, Ling Lang's arrival surprised him. What brings you here? He asked. Nothing, she replied. Ji Wu-jio, ever the narcissist, preened. You must have missed me. I just came to watch the excitement, she retorted, leaving Ji Wu-jio wondering what she was up to. He handed her a memorial. Read this. Guaranteed excitement. Ling Lang scanned the contents, her face growing serious. The barbarian tribes are amassing troops. They might attack the Great Qi simultaneously. If true, we'll have to divide our forces, putting us at a disadvantage. Ji Wu-jio guided her to a seat, gazing at her admiringly. My clever woman, he murmured. Unfurling a map, he began to analyze the situation. If they truly intend to attack and seize our land, their ambition is considerable. It can't be this simple. What do you think, Ling Lang? How should we deploy our troops? She offered several strategies, which he acknowledged as sound, before adding, but you've overlooked one crucial element. Battles can't be won solely on advantageous terrain, Ling Lang pointed out. Ultimately, victory hinges on the people. Your Majesty has proposed a sound strategy. We shouldn't disperse our forces attacking multiple tribes. We should focus on the strongest, the Jurchen, who are currently resurgent. Their soldiers are formidable and ambitious. If we defeat them, she continued, they and all the other tribes will understand the might of the great Qi. None will dare to attack us again. Ling Lang looked at Ji Wujiu with undisguised admiration. You're truly brilliant. Ji Wujiu puffed up with pride. Well then, he said, leaning in, reward me with a kiss. Ling Lang was about to oblige when a commotion outside interrupted them. Ji Wujiu scowled, his moment spoiled. Who's making such a racket? He demanded. A eunuch hurried in to report. Consort Su requests an audience with your Majesty. Ling Lang chuckled. Looks like the entertainment has arrived, your Majesty. Feigning disappointment at their interrupted moment, Ji Wujiu waved his hand dismissively. Send her away. But Consort Su was insistent, causing such a scene that the eunuchs couldn't restrain her. She burst into the room. Upon seeing Ji Wujiu, she dissolved into tears, a picture of utter misery. Your Majesty, you must seek justice for me, she cried. The once renowned beauty was now completely bald. Sobbing, she accused Ling Lang of harming her. Ling Lang, unable to contain her amusement, teased, Cousin, did you perhaps take the wrong medicine? Why are you suddenly bald? Consort Su glared at her with pure hatred. Pointing a trembling finger, she shrieked, You wicked woman. Ji Wujiu lowered his voice and asked Ling Lang, Did you do this? Without a flicker of fear, she admitted, So what if I did? She tried to harm me. Why shouldn't I retaliate? Besides, she used you in her scheme. Consider this my revenge on your behalf. Ji Wujiu, instead of rebuking her, nodded seriously. You have a point. Consort Su, aghast, clutched at his sleeve, begging him to intervene and demand justice. Ling Lang's expression turned regal, her voice laced with authority. I can take your hair, and I can take your head. Consider yourself fortunate that I've chosen to be merciful. Learn your lesson. Perhaps when your hair grows back, you could try your hand at being a hero again. Ji Wujiu, finally losing his composure, covered his mouth to stifle his laughter as Consort Su continued to wail at his feet. He issued his decree. Consort Su, without hair, is an unpleasant sight, demoted to the 8th rank. Forfeit half a year's stipend. Consort Su's dramatic display had earned her nothing but further humiliation. Ji Wujiu turned his gaze back to Ling Lang, his eyes twinkling. You look beautiful like this. Ling Lang blushed at the unexpected compliment. They returned to their previous discussion. Their easy camaraderie resumed as they strategized. Later that day, Ji Wujiu visited the Empress Dowager, who berated him for neglecting his concubines and spending all his time with Ling Lang. She accused him of not caring about producing an heir. Ji Wujiu remained unconcerned. Summoning the imperial physician, the Empress Dowager demanded to know the state of Ji Wujiu's health. The terrified physician, Bugang Iman, confessed some time ago His Majesty suffered a strain and requires rest. The Empress Dowager refused to believe the imperial physician. The emperor, ruler of a nation without an heir. How could he suffer from such an affliction? 3 days later, in Kuining Palace, Ling Lang, consumed by curiosity, finally asked Ji Wujiu, everyone's whispering that you've injured your dragon root, that you're incapable. Ji Wujiu, mid-sip of tea, nearly choked. He could ignore the court gossips, but he couldn't bear the thought of Ling Lang believing such a rumor. He rose, took her hand, and gently said, Close your eyes. Ling Lang, intrigued, obite. Ji Wujiu, his face flushed, guided her hand. See for yourself, he murmured. Ling Lang recoiled, disgust twisting her features. That repulsive feeling, again, she muttered, turning away. Yevuius spirits plummeted. His face crumpled in misery. She loathed his touch. What? Meanwhile, in another part of the palace, 2 scheming concubines sat together, weeping and whispering. Consort Su sobbed to Consort Li, She not only harmed my sister, but me as well. With my appearance now, I'll never regain His Majesty's favor. Consort Li, ever the strategist, replied, "Revenge isn't the priority now. You need to capture the emperor's heart. He's heartbroken, confused. He doesn't understand why the empress constantly rejects him." Seeking solace, Ji Wujiu wandered into the imperial gardens. To his surprise, Consort Li was there as well. "Your Majesty," she greeted him softly, "enjoying the scenery. It's quite chilly here." She offered him a cup of warm tea. Just then, Ling Lang arrived. Seeing them together, sharing tea, she turned to leave. "Ling Lang," Ji Wujiu called out, "why not join us?" Though reluctant, she forced a smile and approached. Consort Li feigned politeness. "Your Majesty, I wasn't expecting the Empress. I only prepared 2 cups of tea. Please forgive me." Ling Lang, having anticipated this possibility, had already instructed her handmaid to bring her own tea. Without a word, the handmaid began the preparations. Suddenly, an assassin lunged towards Ji Wujiu. Consort Li shoved Ji Wujiu aside. Ling Lang, remarquably calm, hurled her teacup at the attacker, momentarily distracting him. Ji Wujiu seized the opportunity, striking the assassin with a powerful blow. Anticipating the assassin's next move, Ling Lang ordered the guards to prevent him from taking his own life. As the Imperial Guard arrived, Ling Lang addressed them. "This assassin wears the uniform of an Imperial Guard. Do any of you recognize him?" One guard stepped forward. "Your Majesty, he is Kong Qinglu, a 3rd-rank guard." Ji Wujiu turned to Ling Lang. "Why did you stop him from committing suicide?" "I fear he would destroy the evidence," she replied. Ji Wujiu pressed further. "What evidence?" Ling Lang, casting a disdainful glance at Consort Li, who was now clinging to Ji Wujiu, thought to herself, "This emperor asks too many questions." Later, in Kuining Palace, Ling Lang learned from her handmaid that Ji Wujiu had summoned the 6 commanders to begin an investigation. She pondered the implications. An assassin in the palace. Inevitably, the 6 clans would be implicated. Worse, someone might accuse her cousin, Yi Tu-ming, of being in league with the assassin. This could implicate both the Yi clan and the Ji clan, even leading to accusations of treason against her grandfather. She wondered how Ji Wujiu would handle this delicate situation. Therefore, she had to find the true culprit before Ji Wujiu did. Ling Lang replayed the events of that evening in her mind. Why would the assassin target Ji Wujiu? Either a deep-seated vendetta or a treasonous plot. But Ji Wujiu was a wise ruler, making a personal vendetta unlikely. Treason seemed even more improbable. The kingdom was at peace. The most pressing issue was the succession, a legitimate heir to the throne. But Ji Wujiu had no brothers, no obvious rivals. How could anyone usurp the throne? It struck her. What if he truly couldn't produce an heir? Ling Lang's thoughts returned to the assassination attempt. Consort Li hadn't hesitated to push Ji Wujiu out of the way. Someone untrained in martial arts shouldn't have reacted so quickly. There is only one explanation. Consort Li was desperate for the emperor's favor. Utterly foolish. Failed regicide meant death for her entire family. Ling Lang resolved to make Consort Li confess, ensuring her cousin, Yi Tu-ming, remained untouched by the scandal. She went to Luo Hua Palace to confront Consort Li. No time for pleasantries. Once they were alone, Ling Lang spoke. "I'm curious. What did you promise Kong Qinglu to make him so willing to die?" Consort Li, startled, felt a flicker of fear, but maintained her composure. "I don't understand, Your Majesty. These baseless accusations are unacceptable." Ling Lang's voice turned icy. "Drop the act. You're not a very good actress. Aren't you afraid of implicating General Su?" Just then, Ji Wujiu arrived. Consort Li rushed to him, clinging to his robes, weeping dramatically. She begged for his help, her manipulative tactics transparent to Ji Wujiu. Disgusted, he pushed her away. "Leave us," he commanded. Jealousy flared within Ji Wujiu. He assumed Ling Lang was protecting the 6 commanders, willing to do anything for them. Frustration edged into Ling Lang's voice. "Surely you see the inconsistencies in this whole affair. My questioning her was perfectly reasonable. We both want to find the true culprit." Ji Wujiu was taken aback. Did she truly think so little of him? His expression darkened. "Why do you look at me like that? Twisting facts, resorting to any means. Why?" Neither was willing to yield. A moment later, Ling Lang stormed out, her face thunderous. Consort Li seized the opportunity, clinging to Ji Wu-jio's arm again. She attempted to coax him, but he pushed her away coldly. General Su has served his country faithfully on the battlefield. I will not allow him to be falsely accused of treason. Decide your own fate. Consort Li Kuyapsha, August. Her desperate attempt to win the emperor's favor had brought ruin upon her family. Ji Wu-jio picked up the sword lying on the table, his gaze distant. Ling Lang's words echoed in his mind. He sighed. How could he not see that Consort Su was the most suspicious one? Even if Consort Su is plotting against me, he thought, every woman in this palace is scheming. Except for Ling Lang. The thought brought a pang of both longing and despair. She doesn't scheme against me because she simply doesn't care about me. I don't even exist in her heart. And it's all because of Consort Li. The more he thought, the more frustrated he became. He stood up, taking the sword from the table and heading towards Koenig Palace. Placing the sword on the table, the emperor announced, "This is the assassin's sword. It's coated in poison. He truly intended to kill me." Ling Lang's face remained impassive. I can't fathom why an assassin would want you dead, but I can imagine why this sword is poisoned. Ji Wu-jio stared at her, dumbfounded. His hands trembled slightly as he listened to her cold words. His own patience finally snapped. "Have you forgotten who your husband is?" he asked, his voice laced with ice. "My husband wouldn't spend every day plotting against my family," Ling Lang retorted. Ji Wu-jio's face hardened. "I have never plotted against your family, but if you force my hand again, I won't hesitate to try." Ling Lang told herself to remain calm. If that's how it is, then I'll speak to the assassin myself. She needed to know who had hired him, but the assassin refused to speak. He knew his actions would implicate many, yet he seemed compelled to carry out the attempt. The reason remained a mystery. The six commanders had always treated him well. Out of loyalty, he finally offered Ling Lang a single clue. Someone had bribed him last night to claim that the six commanders and Yi Tu-ming were conspiring together. Ling Lang immediately, and wrongly, suspected Ji Wu-jio. He had made his move. Now, her only option was to force a confession from Consort Li. She rushed towards Consort Li's palace, only to be intercepted by a eunuch with devastating news. Consort Li was dead. According to her handmaidens, Consort Li had been poisoned. The poison had been in her tea. Ling Lang clenched her fists, her body trembling. Ji Wu-jio had merely sent eunuch Feng to posthumously elevate Consort Li's rank. He hadn't even bothered to see her one last time. She had been his favored consort, after all. Whether from coldness or guilt, Ling Lang couldn't tell. The emperor's heart was truly as hard as stone. She sat lost in thought. Ji Wu-jio, feeling a pang of sadness, wanted to reconcile. He took her hand gently. "Let's not argue anymore," he murmured. But Ling Lang's next words stunned him. "You're truly ruthless," she accused. "Was the poison Consort Li drank given to her by you?" Ji Wu-jio calmly replied. "She brought it upon herself. We both know she would have been executed. If she hadn't taken her own life, the Su family would have been implicated." They argued again about the assassin, neither willing to back down. Ling Lang demanded that Ji Wu-jio publicly and swiftly resolve the case. But Ji Wu-jio had his own plans. He knew Consort Li had been used. The poisoned sword meant someone wanted him dead. He intended to use Kong Qinglu to uncover the true mastermind. Ling Lang became even more convinced she was right. The emperor wanted to use this incident to destroy the six commanders and the Yi family. That's why he'd taken an imperial edict to Kong Qinglu in the Ministry of Justice's prison, tempting him with his life in exchange for confirming that the six commanders and Yi Tu-ming were guilty of treason. Falsely accused by Ling Lang, Ji Wu-jio felt a surge of resentment. Jealousy gnawed at him. He fumed. "She's so worried about the six commanders that she doesn't care about my life. I was almost assassinated. Does she even feel the slightest bit of fear or concern for me?" No. Ling Lang remained stubbornly fixed on her own perspective. "I'll ask you just one thing," she pressed. "What will it take for you to finally let go of the six commanders and the Yi family?" Her words only provoked the emperor's imperious nature. He stepped forward, tilting her chin upwards. "Just please me," he said, his voice low and husky. "If you satisfy me, I'll pardon whoever you want. What do you say?" Though his words were suggestive, his thoughts were a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. He instantly regretted what he'd said, dreading her reaction. He desperately wanted to bridge the chasm that seemed to constantly widen between them. Ling Lang's actions left him momentarily frozen. She unexpectedly embraced him, pressing a kiss to his lips. Despite his many concubines, this gesture from his empress affected him like a love-struck youth. His face flushed, his heart pounded, and his hands fumbled awkwardly. Ling Lang knew, as his wife, this was inevitable. He carried her to the bed, his inner turmoil raging. He told himself to calm down. This is normal between husband and wife. She's mine. She's finally mine. Yet, a nagging feeling persisted that this wasn't the right way to win her. If I don't stop, I'll regret this. But faced with her beauty, his reason crumbled. What happened next was inevitable. They spent a passionate night together, yet neither found joy in it. Ling Lang's tears followed him as he left her chambers. Ji Woo Jio walked out into the cold night, his heart heavy and his mind troubled. He stood beneath the snow-filled sky, his hands covering his face in regret. I finally had her, yet I've lost her. He left Kuan-Ning Palace in the dead of night, returning alone to Qianqing Palace. Word of this spread quickly through the palace. A palace maid rushed to virtuous consort Xian with the news. Your Majesty, guess what the Empress did to anger the Emperor so much? Virtuous consort Xian mused. Consort Li's death was very strange. The Empress was also present during the assassination attempt. She merely watched as imperial physician Su shielded the Emperor, earning him great merit. She must be consumed with jealousy and resentment. The palace maid, eager to add fuel to the fire, was cut short by virtuous consort Xian. There's no need. We'll just sit back and watch the show. Meanwhile, through the guard's reports, the emperor learned that the impostor who delivered the false edict to Kong Chenglu was dead. Kong Chenglu himself remained silent, refusing to divulge any information. All that was known was that before the assassination attempt, the emperor, famously averse to women, had visited a brothel. He was investigating the case, but also, it seemed, seeking advice on matters of the heart from a courtesan. Help me, Ji Woo Jio pleaded, now a regular at the brothel. The courtesan gaped at him after hearing his tale. I told you to be humble, thoughtful, and gentle. Not like that. You've ruined it. All my previous efforts down the drain. Her face darkened. Did your wife know about this? She asked hesitantly. Ji Woo Jio choked for a moment, then mumbled, I am her husband. The courtesan's eyes widened, as if struck by lightning. What a strange man, sneaking around to bed his own wife like a thief. And his wife, too. What a peculiar woman. So arrogant towards such a handsome, wealthy husband. Does she want to marry the emperor or something? For the sake of the silver, she kept her true thoughts to herself, maintaining a professional smile. Young master, your feelings for your wife are truly profound, she offered, dispensing her usual flowery advice. Admirable, pitiful, tormented, and patient. Yivu you blinket, bewildered. Profound feelings. This man is truly unusual, the courtesan thought. Aloud, she continued her practice flattery. You are a rare and precious lover. Your affection for your wife is deeply moving. Ji Woo Jio pondered her words. He couldn't pinpoint when it had begun, but his feelings for Ling Lang had deepened without him realizing it. He abruptly stood, a sudden urge to see her overwhelming him. On his way back to the palace, he continued to mull over the courtesan's words. He realized he had never truly considered what romantic love was. Now he knew. It was a formless, silent thing that filled him completely, impossible to ignore, lingering in his heart. I want her because I love her. Arriving at Kuan-Ning Palace, he saw Ling Lang sitting by the window. His steps faltered. He lacked the courage to face her after what he had done. With a sigh, he turned and walked away. Ling Lang watched him leave. I think I was wrong, she murmured. Her maid sighed. Your Majesty, telling me is useless. The Emperor can't hear you. Unbeknownst to Ling Lang, Ji Woo Jio was aware of the numerous attempts on her life. He was determined to seek justice for her this time. At the Empress Dowager's palace, Ji Woo Jio ordered the execution of the two eunuchs who had conspired with the impostor bearing the false edict. The Empress Dowager's voice rose in anger. It's almost the end of the year. Why aren't you accumulating virtue instead of taking lives? I've been a vegetarian and recited Buddhist scriptures for years. How am I supposed to apologize to Buddha? Besides, you need evidence to arrest someone. Isn't this too reckless? Ji Woo Jio's voice was cold. So, Mother, you want me to continue the investigation. To investigate thoroughly and find out who is behind all of this. The Empress Dowager fumed, speechless. You unfilial child. She finally sputtered. Ji Wujio's next action shocked her even more. There are worse things than being unfilial, he said icily. Su Shangyong, the Minister of Revenue, has been oppressing the common people. I have ordered his demotion. The Empress Dowager's face darkened with rage. He's your uncle, she shrieked, and his daughter, Su Weirong, is your consort. Ji Wujio, resolute in his reforms, replied coldly, princes and commoners are equal before the law. He stepped closer to the Empress Dowager, his words sharp and concise. If you wish to share the burden of ruling, mother, then devote yourself fully to your vegetarian diet and Buddhist scriptures. Should anything untoward happen, as your son, I will naturally not treat you unjustly, but I won't show such leniency to those around you. Ji Wujiu then proceeded to Su Weirong's palace. Seeing him, she rushed forward, throwing herself into his arms with delight. Her smile, however, quickly faded as he spoke. You incited consort Su to commit treason. I could have you executed. I can feign ignorance, but do not mistake me for a fool. Because you are my cousin, he continued, his voice devoid of warmth, you will be confined to the cold palace. He then summoned Yi Mafong. Yi Mafong was Ling Lang's second older brother and the Minister of Works. He had been rewarded with a 3-rank promotion for his contributions to the construction of the reservoir. Having settled these matters, Ji Wujio sighed. Finally, he murmured, I'm worthy of seeing her. Ling Lang was sitting on a swing in the garden. Ji Wujio approached quietly from behind. Suddenly, she spoke, apologizing. Her words caught him off guard. He paused, unsure of what was happening. She apologized for wrongly accusing him. If he wanted to deal with the Yi family, she explained, he wouldn't need to go through such elaborate schemes. The Yi family would be powerless to resist him. He, in turn, apologized for his actions and promised not to touch her against her will. Ling Lang then explained that her nausea wasn't due to disgust for him, but because of an illness, a strange ailment of the heart. She confessed that the mere thought of him being intimate with other women filled her with revulsion, a feeling that manifested not only emotionally, but also physically. Ji Wujio, overjoyed that she didn't hate him, took her hand. Don't worry, he reassured her. Focus on getting better. I want you to be willing on New Year's Eve. Virtuous consort Xian tried her best to gain the emperor's favor, but his attention remained solely on Ling Lang. Seeing her fatigue, he felt a pang of Xinting, a mixture of heartache and distress. During the banquet, Ling Lang, unwilling to spoil the festivities, tried to hide her discomfort. Without hesitation, Ji Wujiu lifted her into his arms and carried her back to Qianqing Palace to rest. He then returned and dismissed the gathering. The other consorts couldn't help but whisper amongst themselves. It seems the Empress has completely captured the Emperor's heart. One sighed. We've lost our chance, sisters. Virtuous consort, Xian silently raised her wine cup and drank. After the failed assassination attempt, not only did the Emperor not punish the Yi family, he even promoted Yi Mafong. Consort Su died mysteriously, and Su Weirong was banished to the Cold Palace. It seemed the Emperor truly had feelings for the Empress. A few days later, after a satisfying meal, Ling Lang went for a stroll in the gardens. Suddenly, a figure flashed past, causing the eunuch beside her to blanch. Ling Lang, engrossed in conversation with her maid, hadn't noticed clearly what had flitted by. Wang Yukai, pale and trembling, stammered. It was wearing white long hair, green-faced mouth full of blood. The ghostly figure materialized again, wailing, I died unjustly. Give me back my life. Ling Lang, far from frightened, actually laughed. If you're a vengeful spirit demanding a life, she challenged, mine is right here. Come and take it. She boldly stepped towards the apparition. To her surprise, the ghost recoiled and fled. Ling Lang pursued it for a short distance, but the spectral figure vanished, leaving behind only the props used to create the illusion. Examining the crude setup, Ling Lang deduced this happened near Luohua Palace. Someone staged this. They probably think I pushed consort Su to her death and are trying to frighten me. Concerned that the perpetrator might return, She instructed her staff, from now on, everyone in Kuan Palace must be extremely vigilant. Pay close attention to all food and drink. Ji Wujiu, upon hearing that Ling Lang had scared a ghost away, teased her relentlessly. Truly worthy of an empress. He chuckled. I've only ever heard of ghosts frightening people, never the other way around. Ling Lang, unamused, retorted, if he's a ghost, then I'm the king of hell. Ji Wujiu, ever the opportunist, flirted, if the king of hell were as beautiful as you, I'd willingly follow you to the underworld. Ling Lang, however, noticed something else. What's that lovely fragrance? She asked, inhaling deeply. Ji Wujiu proudly explained, it's Hailin wood, a type of fragrant wood tribute by the Lu Kingdom. It's grown on an island, he continued. The Empress Dowager has it burned as charcoal for warmth. If you like it, take some back with you. Noticing Ling Lang's slight hesitation, he added, don't worry. He reassured her, taking her hand. I've been using it for several days now. There's no problem with it. A few days later, Ling Lang fell ill, causing Ji Wujiu great concern. Through her attendants, he learned that she had been sleeping excessively for 2 days. The imperial physician reported that her pulse was irregular, indicating weakness in her organs. He inquired if she had recently been injured or frightened. She was startled by someone pretending to be a ghost a few days ago, an attendant explained, but she wasn't truly afraid. The physician prepared to prescribe a tonic to restore her energy and calm her nerves. Ji Wujiu, however, intervened. He instructed the physician to examine Su Yu, Ling Lang's handmaid. Upon taking her pulse, the physician exclaimed, how strange. Their pulses are identical. Ling Lang, quick-witted, realized that someone was targeting her. Ji Wujiu grimly considered the implications. If she were to die after being treated incorrectly, he mused, people would say she was frightened to death by a ghost. This person's methods are not only cruel, but also clever, leaving no trace. Without a word, he scooped Ling Lang into his arms and carried her to Qianqing Palace, determined to protect her from further harm. His investigation revealed that another handmaid who frequently attended Ling Lang also exhibited similar symptoms, though milder as she spent less time in the Empress's chambers. Ji Wujiu and Ling Lang suspected that poison had been administered within her quarters, but despite thorough searches, they found nothing amiss. An elderly physician, summoned to examine Ling Lang, detected an unusual scent emanating from the brazier. Is that Hailin wood? He inquired. The physician explained that when burned, Hailin wood emitted a fragrant aroma. That it reacts with the scent of daffodils, the physician continued, forming a type of poisonous gas. Prolonged exposure leads to symptoms of fatigue. Only the locals are familiar with this. Guilt gnawed at Ji Wujiu. He was the one who had given Ling Lang the Hailin wood. She, however, comforted him. You were also a victim of someone else's scheme, she soothed. Don't blame yourself. Ling Lang, ever sharp, reasoned, the knowledge of this particular combination of toxins is rare. Only locals, and perhaps a single imperial physician in the court, would know. Therefore, the Empress Dowager may not be the mastermind behind this. There must be someone else pulling the strings, she concluded. Ji Wujiu finally understood her implication. This knowledge originates from Lu Song, he realized. A thought struck him. When I ascended the throne, Lu Song offered 12 beauties as tribute. I kept 2 and bestowed the rest upon my officials. Ling Lang, intrigued, asked who the 2 were. Ji Wujiu, to her exasperation, admitted he'd forgotten. Ling Lang was speechless. He couldn't even remember the women he'd kept for himself. How unreliable. After some time, the identities of the 2 women were discovered. One had passed away, longing for her homeland. The other resided in Guang Jiao Palace. Ling Lang confronted the woman, laying out the facts. Someone placed Hailin wood and daffodils together to harm me. I know you weren't directly involved. Just tell me, who else knows about this? Under the combined pressure of the emperor and empress, the concubine confessed. Guangzhou Palace is rarely visited. Recently, only virtuous consort Xian has come to chat with me. I only told her about the Hailin wood. Ji Wujiu sighed, rubbing his forehead. He hadn't expected such scheming from someone he considered virtuous. She dares to harm the empress now. I've always indulged her whims. Ling Lang recognized the meticulous nature of virtuous consort Xian's plan. It was designed to leave no trace, casting suspicion elsewhere. With the Empress Dowager's protection, virtuous consort Xian could easily escape unscathed. Ling Lang kept her discovery of the poison's source a secret and spread a rumor that she had been frightened by a ghost causing her illness. A few days later, Ji Wu Jiu visited the Empress Dowager, accompanied by virtuous consort Xian. The Empress Dowager inquired about Ling Lang's health and the rumors surrounding her illness. Ji Wu Jiu explained that Ling Lang had encountered something unsettling in the imperial gardens and had been bedridden with fright ever since. Virtuous consort Xian, inwardly delighted, feigned concern. "Then I shall visit the Empress today," she offered. Ji Wu Jiu stopped her. "There's no need. You have a more important task. I command you to enter Jingxiang Temple and become a nun, to pray for the Empress's recovery." Virtuous consort Xian paled, stunned by the Emperor's decree. The Empress Dowager protested vehemently. "How can you force a concubine to become a nun? This is preposterous." Ji Wu Jiu smiled pleasantly. "It's perfectly fitting. Virtuous consort Xian is a pious woman. Having her pray for the Empress is most appropriate." He then turned to virtuous consort Xian. "What are your thoughts?" Virtuous consort Xian, her face ashen, tears welling in her eyes, began to protest, but Ji Wu Jiu cut her short. "Virtuous consort Xian," he said, a glint in his eye, "I suggest you leave now. The Empress's true intention is to have you shave your head. That would truly demonstrate your sincerity." Virtuous consort Xian froze, her mind reeling. Shave her head? What chance would she have then? That same day, Ji Wu Jiu found himself once again at the brothel, seeking counsel from the courtesan. She, ever playful, draped herself against him. "Back again, my lord. Missing me already? What weighty question brings you here today?" Ji Wu Jiu gently disengaged himself, his expression serious. "I've been making inquiries," he began, "try to understand why the Empress is reluctant to be intimate with me. She claims she has a strange ailment, a dislike for physical contact. She says it sometimes makes her nauseous." The courtesan's eyes widened in understanding. "Your wife doesn't have an illness," she stated frankly. "Her heart is simply pure." She paused, then asked, "If I may be so bold, my lord, are there other women in your household besides your wife?" Ji Wu Jiu nodded. "Yes, I have perhaps 10 other consorts." The courtesan's lips twisted in a grimace. She longed to berate him, but reminded herself that he was a valuable client. "I must be patient," she thought, envisioning the banknotes he brought. Ji Wu Jiu, oblivious to her inner turmoil, asked innocently, "Does that have something to do with it?" Suppressing her irritation, the courtesan replied, "This is the first time I've met a man like you. Your Empress finds you unclean because you've been with other women. Put yourself in her shoes. Would you want to be intimate with a courtesan who has been with countless other men?" Ji Wu Jiu's face paled. "I would send her away," he declared. Then, perplexed, he asked, "Why don't my other consorts mind? Why is she the only one like this?" Instead of answering directly, the courtesan posed another question. "Why do so many men come here seeking pleasure, yet you don't even take a sip of tea?" The solution is simple. Dismiss your other consorts. Devote yourself solely to your Empress. The question is, can you do it? She added, a touch of disappointment in her voice. "I initially thought you were completely devoted to your Empress, but now I see perhaps not." Ji Wu Jiu, however, felt a sudden surge of understanding. His heart bloomed with newfound clarity. So that was the root of Ling Lang's illness. She wanted him to be only hers. If that was all it took to make her happy, it was a small price to pay. Arriving at Kuan-Ning Palace, he found Ling Lang releasing floating lanterns into the night sky. Her beauty and the warmth of her smile captivated him. He embraced her, sealing his affection with a tender kiss. The next day, Ji Wu Jiu held court. He addressed his ministers, discussing the defense of the realm. He announced his intention to personally lead the troops into battle. The news of the emperor's decision to lead the army himself struck the court like a thunderbolt. The ministers dropped to their knees, pleading with him to reconsider. Ji Wu Jiu remained unmoved. "My mind is made up," he declared, rising to his feet. Court dismissed. That evening, in Kuan-Ning Palace, Ling Lang inquired, "I hear you intend to personally lead the troops in a battle." Ji Wu Jiu, anticipating her disapproval like the rest of the court, was taken aback when Ling Lang's face lit up with excitement. "Can I go with you?" she asked. Ji Wu Jiu stared at her for a moment, dumbfounded, before firmly refusing. "Absolutely not," he said. Ling Lang's cheerful demeanor vanished, replaced by a pout. "Why not?" she demanded. A flicker of irritation crossed Ji Wu-Jio's face. It's a battlefield, Ling Lang, inherently dangerous. Besides, it's a campaign for men. How could you possibly go? Ling Lang remained undeterred. If you go, I go, she insisted. Ji Wu-Jio sighed, exasperated. He took her hand gently. Why are you so insistent? He asked, his voice softening. Ling Lang leaned against him, her voice sweet. I worry about you, she murmured. Ji Wu-Jio knew she was trying to coax him, but he couldn't help the warmth that spread through him at her words. Ling Lang, mistaking his silence for agreement, beamed, already picturing herself riding alongside him into battle. Her joy was short-lived. You can keep dreaming, Ji Wu-Jio said, dashing her hopes. The following day, the relentless pleas of his ministers, coupled with their dramatic weeping, finally wore Ji Wu-Jio down. Fine, he roared, throwing his hands up in defeat. I won't go. Just stop crying. Though privately relieved, Ji Wu-Jio maintained a facade of displeasure as he appointed Yi Loiting to command the troops in his stead. He sighed, thinking that perhaps this was for the best. At least now Ling Lang wouldn't pester him about joining the campaign. For the first time, Ling Lang knelt before him, but not for him. She was pleading on behalf of another man. And Ji Wu-Jio, predictably, was jealous. Before the army's departure, Ji Wu-Jio allowed family members to visit the palace. Among them was Lu Li's mother. Lu Mu, kneeling before Ling Lang, begged her to intercede with the emperor on her son's behalf. Your Majesty, she pleaded, for the sake of the Lu family's generations of loyal service, please spare my son. He's my only child. Ling Lang recalled the recent assassination attempt. Though Lu Li hadn't been formally charged, he still bore the weight of negligence. She had intended to speak to Ji Wu-Jio herself, but Lu Mu's words revealed that it was Ji Wu-Jio himself who had ordered Lu Li to join the campaign. Ji Wu-Jio, tending to his flowers in the imperial garden, brightened at the sight of Ling Lang. Ling Lang, you're here. Come, sit and talk with me. Ling Lang, however, was in no mood for pleasantries. Why did you order Lu Li to join the campaign? She demanded. Ji Wu-Jio's good humor evaporated. She was here, not for him, but for another man. And that man was Lu Li. He sighed. Lu Li is a guilty man, he explained. This is a chance for him to redeem himself. He's your relative. Naturally, I want him to have this opportunity. With Yi Loiting in command, he'll be fine. He'll even have a chance for promotion afterward. What's the problem? Ling Lang persisted. He's General Lu Fuzi's only son. Having both of them on the battlefield is too risky. Desperate to help Lu Mu, Ling Lang knelt. Your Majesty, I beg you, rescind the order. Ji Wu-Jio clenched his fists, fury rising within him. Between husband and wife, their status should be equal. Yet, this was the first time Ling Lang had knelt before him, and it was to plead for Lu Li. The mere mention of his name ignited a furious resentment within Ji Wu-Jio. In a fit of pique, he dismissed her, ordering her to leave. Despite his morning outburst, by evening, Ji Wu-Jio found himself at Kuan-Ning Palace, seeking reconciliation. Ling Lang was strolling pensively through the palace gardens when she felt strong arms encircle her from behind. Ji Wu-Jio nuzzled his face against her shoulder, his touch tender. Ling Lang wanted to explain, to assure him there was nothing romantic between her and Lu Li. We grew up together, she began. Our bond is purely sibling-like. I thought some things were understood without explanation, but it seems you've been overthinking lately. Today, I acted on Lu Mu's behalf, pleading for her son. It's the truth. Do you believe me? Ji Wu-Jio, contrite, apologized. Ling Lang, my words this morning were spoken in anger. Besides, Lu Li is a skilled warrior. He'll be fine, especially with Yi Loiting at his side. Back in her chambers, Ji Wu-Jio adopted a charmingly vulnerable air. Embracing her from behind, he whispered, Ling Lang, tonight, can we forget about everyone else? Can you just love me? He yearned for her affection, a yearning that was palpable. Before Ling Lang could fully comprehend his intentions, he swept her up into his arms and carried her to the bed. Their eyes met, locked in a gaze of intense emotion. He took her hand. The implication dawned on Ling Lang, sending a wave of nausea through her. Ji Wu-Jio, sensing her hesitation, reassured her, I won't touch you if you don't want me to. But could you help me? Ling Lang knew that as husband and wife, this was inevitable. If I won't let you touch me, she conceded, then I will help you. Ji Wu-Jio reveled in the moment. She was fully present, willingly giving of herself. He was overcome with joy. Afterwards, holding her close, he murmured, from now on, I only want you to be good to me. Ling Lang sat up, a serious expression on her face. You are the emperor, she stated. Every word you speak is a decree, is it not? He pulled her close, baring his heart. I always thought you hated me. Ling Lang, please don't hate me. Her agreement filled him with an almost overwhelming happiness. His joy was so profound that even during their morning intimacy, he eagerly anticipated the evening when he could dine with her. Working throughout the day, with an almost unbearable lightness of heart, he finally arrived at Kuan Ning Palace. He pushed open the door, expecting to find Ling Lang, but was met with an unexpected sight. Two palace maids were bound and gagged. He quickly untied them, his mind racing. Was the empress kidnapped by Wang Yukai? He demanded. He braced himself for confirmation, but was stunned by the maid's reply. It was Wang Yukai who had been taken away by Ling Lang. After a moment of stunned silence, Ji Wujiu demanded the full story. The maids recounted how Ling Lang had bound them that morning. Wang Yukai had tried to dissuade her from whatever she was planning, but she threatened to throw him into the Tai pond as fish food if he didn't comply. They didn't know what happened after that, only that Ling Lang hadn't returned. Ji Wujiu deduced that Ling Lang had bound the maids to prevent them from raising the alarm and causing a palace-wide search. Her insistence on taking Wang Yukai with her stemmed from his possession of a pass, allowing him to leave the palace. The conclusion was inescapable. Ling Lang had left the palace. He knew few would dare such a brazen act, but Ling Lang was different. Reports from the palace guards confirmed his suspicions. She had indeed left, ostensibly under his own verbal decree, with Wang Yukai as her guide. Ji Wu